line of resistance in your soul, built on God's Word. Listen this Sunday for inspiration, motivation, education, all without manipulation. That's The Flatline with Rick Hughes. This Sunday morning at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gary Sinise. Please join me and the Lieutenant Dan Band as we return to Cantini Park in Wheaton, Illinois. We will be rocking for our vets on July 12th for the West Suburban Foundation Concert for Charity, saluting our veterans and supporting your veteran community. We're looking forward to seeing everyone again. It's been a long time since we've been at Cantini Park. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to rocking for our vets together.
Get your tickets today at 560theanswer.com/vets.
Attention American homeowners, you're under attack. Your home and equity could be vulnerable to cyber thieves. There's only one company that completely stops them, and that company is Equity Protect. Equity Protect prevents any attempts to steal your home, equity, and ownership 24/7. Get your free risk report today by texting the word HOME to 94878. That's right, text the word HOME to 94878 to get your free risk report. Keep your equity and legacy safe with Equity Protect.
There's a financial article that had this advice about spending money in retirement. Don't touch your Social Security until 70. Don't touch your 401k until 73. Don't touch your Roth IRA until everything else is gone. Okay, so what's missing? Well, you got to eat. Aren't we past the point of our lives when our mommy slaps our hands and says, don't touch that? That's not what you're going to hear when you call Alpha Wealth Group. You've worked hard to get where you are at this point in your life. It's time to enjoy yourself and your money. The complimentary discovery meeting will show you how to grow and protect money, how to reduce taxes, what to do about Social Security, and most importantly, how to build your monthly income so you can have confidence in your retirement and enjoy yourself. Call Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group today at 630-864-6711 and ask for a complimentary discovery visit. You can also visit Alpha Wealth Group at alphawealthgroup.com, or you can call 630-864-6711.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, or simply visit godra.com.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, now your official weather forecast.
Periods of rain, thunderstorm, windy day. High today 59. Rain and breezy tonight, though 52. Rain, drizzle, breezy and cool for tomorrow. The high at 55. A shower and passing on Thursday morning. Otherwise a cloudy day. The high 57. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Yesterday, we talked a bit about that visit that BLM Brandon made to the Southside Church to address the one thing that he could be doing better after 2 years. His own assessment, you remember that riveting, probing interview Fran Spielman did. The one thing that he's fallen down on the job just a bit on is marketing all of his successes. So he was in that black church on Sunday on the South Side marketing his successes. And among other things, it's what he is doing for black residents of Chicago, both jobs and contracts, and seemingly exclusively for black residents of Chicago.
Prime construction contract at O'Hare under my administration. It's the first black prime construction worker company to have a prime contract anywhere in the United States of America. And that's critical, not just for BOA Construction, but for the lives that he's going to transform because he's hiring them. But it's also critical for other major construction companies or mid-sized construction companies that are black-owned to know that there is a mayor who sees them and is going to work hard to ensure that whether you're developing homes, whether you are, looking to help take advantage of the opportunities through aviation, whether it's entrepreneurship to provide a service, that there are resources available for you in the city of Chicago. And one thing that I know for sure that I have to do over these next 2 years, every single dime that our people have been robbed of, I want to make sure that that is returned threefold. Because
we'll need a little bit more color on the robbery that he was referencing. But so there you have it.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I mean, here he is, though. I don't know if you played this because, sorry, I was gone. But he's listing off top administrators with his top people with his administration, and they're all black.
Business and Economic Neighborhood Development, the deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development, it's a black woman. Infrastructure, deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief Operations Officer is a black man. Budget Director is a black woman. Senior Advisor is a black man.
Yeah, right.
But what if a white mayor said he was only going to celebrate and hire white people? I mean, obviously, it should be the best person for the job.
Well, the difference is, and he explained, is because black people are a uniquely generous people.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. You're not generous, Dan.
They're uniquely generous people to the exclusion of people of other races, some of whom may be generous and some of who may not be so generous. But when it comes to black people, they're uniquely generous because they have have a whatever he said, adopted cousin culture or something.
Oh, yeah, like we
that.
don't do that. Our friends, our mom's friends aren't our aunts.
That's not a competition.
Yeah.
That's sort of the point that's lost on BLM Brandon. Well, anyway, all of this identitarian rhetoric caught the attention of, many people, because he is the mayor of Chicago. And so now the Civil Rights Division at the Department of Justice has opened an investigation as to the employment practices of said city of Chicago to determine whether it is engaged in a pattern or practice of racial discrimination in violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. It's so ironic because, of course, all this talk about that the civil rights era race hustlers, the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King, and I'm sure Jesse Jackson Sr. invokes it all the time. The civil rights movement gave us the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That's something that we trumpet. That's something that we're very proud of. That's something that we need to protect. And that's something that we're happy to violate when it serves our immediate political interests, ironically. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line.
Did you see this? The Times of India, the headline, "Could he be more racist?" Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson slammed for only hiring black people. He released a statement yesterday, Mayor Johnson. He fired off a pie chart because you know how he and Kamala Harris love their pie charts, showing the hiring practices: 34% black, 24% Hispanic, 30% white, the rest Asian or other. And then he slammed Trump, saying, that he's got a very diverse hiring, and slammed Trump, saying his administration doesn't reflect such diversity. Wah, wah.
We'll see. Hamid Dillon is the Assistant Attorney General of the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice. She is the one that penned the letter that was sent to City Hall, providing excerpts from the clips that you've just heard over the last couple of days, saying, this sounds like Title VII violations. But she said, I should say, considering these remarks, I have authorized an investigation to determine whether the city of Chicago is engaged in a pattern and practice of discrimination as set forth above. If the kind of hiring decisions are being made for top-level positions in your administration, then it begs the question whether such decisions are also being made for lower-level positions that went unmentioned. No conclusion has been reached, but we're going to look into it and get back to you. All right. Well, very good. The point of this really is just to send a shot across the bow of these identitarian mayors and governors that the Department of Justice is watching this. You can't on again, off again enforce the provisions of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Number 2, and number 3, it is, I think, the basis by which to withhold federal funds to the city of Chicago, which it's similar to the sanctuary city and state litigation that was filed by the Department of Justice against both Chicago and Illinois. If you're going to flout federal law, then we're not going to be sending you cash.
And it's not a criminal investigation, right? But it may lead to criminal referrals.
The Department of Justice doesn't really do civil investigations that don't have the potential for criminal penalties to attach. But yeah, I mean, in this case, what you're likely talking about is civil penalties, and it would be in the form of withholding federal money, because that's the only thing, as we've seen from colleges, we've seen from cities and states, that's really the only thing they respond to, other than actually putting the parties in question in cuffs. But we'll get to MacIver in a little bit. Roy and Glen Ellen, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning again. It's just so galling that he celebrates the fact that crime is down, 2, 3, 4, 5%. And that's something to be excited about. And, taking care of people, what about people who are being shot every single day? Where's that celebration?
Yawn. Well, he's just trying to get the black vote for election time. But then again, I think deeper that, no, this is really who he is. He thinks that this is fine, that this is normal, that this is, I'm a black man in power and I get to do what I want. But he's so young and dumb and ignorant, he just brags about it.
He's 50 years old.
No, he's not. He's not 50.
He's 49.
Well, to me, that's young. He's inexperienced.
Yeah, he's a child. Yeah, he's a baby. No, I mean, maybe intellectually, but so is every other identitarian.
Democrats are turning to be racist.
It's nothing to do with his age. Good grief. Yes, these are apparatchiks. These are neo-Marxist apparatchiks. What is unclear about this? They'd say it over and over and over again. It is not about him being a black man. It's about him being a Marxist. And race is the identifier. Race is an identity generally, is the organizing ethos.
Well, it's all they have right now. They have no success record.
These are ideologues. And, oh, by the way, as we discussed yesterday with Jeannie Ives, the reason that BLM Brandon has such a low approval rating and is such a long shot for re-election at this point is because of the way he talks about race. The same way Lori Lightfoot did.
Yeah. Shot herself in the foot.
So when you're iconoclastic about race, very myopic, like you hear, you just focused on black people and then you sort of try to paper it over. But I mean, it's just over and over again. You just beat people over the head with the racial identity stuff. I mean, there's diminishing marginal returns to it, but he doesn't care because he's an ideologue. And part, Lori Lightfoot had some other psychoses mixed in there, sort of being always the freak show. And now she was getting to wear the sash and she was going to make a big spectacle of herself and show everybody that, this is the reckoning for the cool kids, the inside kids that wouldn't let her play with them on the playground. BLM Brandon is just your straight up neo-Marxist race hustler. And it just doesn't wear well. You can get away with having terrible schools and violent streets and a hostile business environment as long as you tell the beautiful lies about race. We're going to do this together. We're going to create opportunity. We're going to get black and Latino and white. We're one big city. We're all in this together. We're going to do things together. It's going to be great. You can't go at it like this because people have been conditioned to use the beautiful lies to rationalize their own participation in the most segregated city, de facto segregated city in America that is disintegrating before their very eyes. And so this gives them something to cling to. This gives them something to separate themselves from their votes even for these politicians. It wasn't me. This guy. I don't think that way. I don't behave that way. Of course we can't do that. Of course we can't be divisive across racial or identity lines. Even if you are, you can't be overt about it. You have to tell the beautiful lies. And this is an area where neither Lightfoot nor BLM Brandon figured out that the beautiful lies are requisite to get away with all of the bad policies that politicians in Chicago and Illinois otherwise get away with because they tell the beautiful lies they've conditioned the populace to accept, so they pay no attention to the actual impacts of public policy. It's a little instructional for aspiring candidates in 27. Matt in Mount Greenwood.
Hey, good morning, folks. DEI is dangerous, entitled, and ignorant, in my opinion. And you look at this guy, he hires just solely based on race. And if you look at, let's hire the best qualified people, obviously. But, you look no further than the abomination on the south side that's being built. And they mandated that diversity be the primary factor when it came to hiring. And no offense, but we have very unqualified people out there building this place, and it's a disaster.
None taken. I don't take any offense at unqualified people or disasters. Thanks for the call, Matt. And neither would anybody else if you just said, we have the most diverse administration, like what he said in response to the DOJ letter. We have the most diverse administration. We're committed to diversity. We're inclusive. We're tolerant.
Trump's not diverse.
No person can be illegal. Yeah, you demagogue Trump a little bit too while you're at it for good measure. And then it's fine. Everything's fine. That's the mistake that Brandon Johnson makes over and over again. And that's why he's, box office poison politically. George in Naperville.
Yes, is Brandon going to require posting like a uniform insignia that people will know it's a black-owned business, whether it's on trucks or whatever they're, doing with this pushing the black thing?
Thanks for the call, George. Coming up at 5:38, we do want to mention the outcome of Brandon Johnson's an election involving Brandon Johnson's main ally. That would be Stacey Davis Gates. We'll mention that before we turn our attention to Jim Comey, who has come off social media and onto an MSNBC desk to explain his 8647 some more. That's at 5:38.
Yeah, he's just a silly old man. But now let's head into that newsroom, and here are the headlines.
Good morning. It's 53 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Sunny skies, 72 degrees. I'm Nikki Whaley. It's getting more expensive to buy a home in the U.S.
The average interest rate for a 30-year mortgage moved above 7% on Monday before dropping back down slightly. It comes after Moody's downgraded the U.S. credit rating last week because of the government's growing debt. Mortgage rates have remained near their 25-year peak. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Vice President J.D. Vance is giving Pope Leo a gift that is near and dear to his heart.
The VP met with the Pope at the Vatican and presented him with a Chicago Bears jersey with the name Pope Leo XIV on the back.
So this, of course, is a Chicago Bears jersey with your name.
Vance also gave the Chicago native a letter from President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump inviting him to the White House. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's knows that no matter your paint or stain project, savings is at the top of your to-do list. So shop Memorial Day deals on paints, primers, and stains from top brands like HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams, Vespar, and Cabot for your next project. Find more Memorial Day deals now at Lowe's. We help you save. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
I don't think our friendship's ever been stronger than it is right now.
As President Trump seeks to reshape the global political landscape,
It's your biggest investment that you've ever made.
his opponents can't stop themselves.
The President of the United States is out of the country, and you pull a stunt like this?
James Comey making a threatening post against Donald Trump.
His words, a cool shell formation in the shape of 8647.
This guy needs to be prosecuted.
Talk about what it all means.
This has got to stop.
Right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just 1 light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family owned integrity since 1981.
Come hungry to Scott Tucker Solutions Night at Portillo's, benefiting the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. Join us Thursday, May 22nd from 5 to 8 p.m. at Portillo's in Niles at 8832 West Dempster Street and use the cashier code Portillo's20. The night's bill is on Scott Tucker, and you eating free Portillo's helps support the families of fallen and disabled Chicago police officers and their families via the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. Enjoy your favorites, hot dogs, Italian beef, and chocolate cake. Scott Tucker is picking up the check, and Portillo's is donating 20% of gross sales to the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. So bring your appetite to Scott Tucker Solutions Night at Portillo's. It's Thursday, May 22nd from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Portillo's in Niles at 8832 West Dempster Street. And make sure to use the cashier code Portillo's20. Eat well and come out and run up Scott Tucker's bill and support the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. We'll see you there. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Periods of rain, thunderstorm, windy and cool today. The high 59. Rain and breezy tonight, low 52. Breezy, cool, rain and drizzle again tomorrow, the high 55. Passing shower Thursday morning, then mostly cloudy with the high 57. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Stacey Davis Gates.
Yeah.
She's perhaps the most important ally of BLM Brandon when it comes to the leadership, policy making of the city, certainly in terms of getting a contract for the Chicago Teachers Union.
Heard they talk 5 times a day at least.
So she won a re-election as expected, 2/3 of the vote. So when you hear Chicago public school teachers say, Stacey Davis Gates, Karen Lewis, D. Sharon Grant, pick your CTU boss.
Jesse Sharkey.
Whatever. They don't really represent teachers. Well, they do, actually.
They say that all the time, and then look at how they voted.
They do.
Maddening.
We have some exclusive audio of Stacey Davis Gates' victory speech after her easy re-election. She's got a deeper voice than I remember.
Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the poor. The farmer. Kill the poor. The farmer. Brr, pa. Pa. Brr, pa. Pa. Attention.
Seems like the teachers enjoyed themselves at the celebration party. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. So big plaudits all around. High fives, low fives.
Well, what are we celebrating?
Celebrating that 85% graduation rate in CPS.
That's a lot.
Thank you, Chicago public school teachers. Celebrating that 1 in 5 Chicago high school students, interestingly, missed at least 35 school days last year. So 1 in 4 CPS high school students, a little more than 25,000, I mentioned this yesterday, missed 35 or more days last year, and yet the graduation rate ticked up from 81 to 85%. Huh. Interesting. And I'm sorry, what were the grade level reading and math proficiency rates again in CPS? Something like about 1 in 5 reading, about 1 in 6 or 7 math, and yet an 85% graduation rate. Well done, teachers, administrators, system.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that very same line. I just died a little inside when she got reelected because she's a horrible human being. She is a bully, and I know you hate that word, but she thinks so highly of herself. She didn't even pay $5,600, Dan, and utility bills and property taxes because, she's Stacey Davis Gates. She doesn't have to pay the bills, but yet you put her in charge of one of the largest unions in the country. And she doesn't provide any audits for the past 4 years because she doesn't have to, Dan. She's Stacey Davis Gates.
She got a contract done.
Because she put her candidate in office. She wanted to run, but her favorability was so low in the single digits that, they even did the math and realized if we spend all this money on her, it's not going to work. So who's likable? Who could we put in? Our union dues gave $2.3 million to what candidate to get our guy in office? And that was Brandon Johnson. How's that going? Yeah.
So that's what the teachers union does every cycle.
Well, shame on my friends. Shame on them that biatch to me that their union dues are going to put in liberal progressive candidates for mayor and other positions. Cry me a river.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Well, what are you going to do about it? Nobody's going to do anything about it.
What are they going to do? Send their kids to private school? Oh, like she does? People seem to forget that. She sends her kids, I'm not going to mention the school, but to private school because they didn't have a...
Why aren't you going to mention De La Salle?
I'll do it, fine. Because they didn't have an appropriate soccer team at her neighborhood school. That was her get out of jail free card, because it's all about the sports.
Those are her private choices. It's very different than her commitment to investing in government schools. Right? I mean, it's so easy. That's why it's funny to watch ideologues like BLM Brandon or like Lori Lightfoot take it so over the top because all you have to do is tell the beautiful lies that I'm telling right now in response to what you're saying. at room temperature like this, and everybody's like, oh, okay, that's fine. No problem. No problem in CPS. Certainly nothing I want to get all worked up about. No problem in the streets. No problem with the business climate. No problem with property taxes. No problem with any quality of life measurement that one can apply to the impact of policy choices. No problems.
And Davis Gates mocked CPS CEO Pedro Martinez. She compared him to a terrible special education student who can't be suspended. She also told parents of another school that if they don't like their principal, to punch the principal in the face. That was a good one.
Get it all out.
Yeah.
Get it all out.
She told me, she's like, yeah, you're the volleyball coach for now. Okay. She gets what she wants. You don't get in her way, Dan.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Well,
and I don't. My kids are gone, but
nobody in Chicago is worried about it. Find somebody that cares about this.
You can't even find a parent to go on Fox News or even ABC 7 or NBC. My friends always, hey, do you have a CPS parent who's gonna? Nope, I don't. You can call them yourself. I've been trying for 15 years to get one parent to come forward.
Good grief.
Well,
okay.
You unleashed the can. Just let me get this out. And nobody will because they're afraid of repercussion, because they're afraid of the CTU.
They're afraid of what?
Repercussions in the classroom.
They're afraid
That's what they keep telling me.
But their kid being social promoted out of the schools? What are they afraid of?
That if they go on and bash the union.
Yeah. Thank you for explaining to me. The point is this. Don't repeat their silliness. Characterize it. It's the beautiful lies that we tell each other and ourselves. Because how else are we going to confront what we've been party to? Just say that's all you have to do.
They can't confront the fact that they've been fooled for the entire time their kids have been in school.
Excuse me, they haven't been fooled. Oh. No. That's no more absolution where none is deserved. Nobody's been fooled. They've chosen. But we talk about this in a way where nobody's accountable. Or we do what the left does. I hear conservatives do that all the time. We come up with boogeymen. It's all Brandon Johnson's fault. It's all Stacey Davis Gates' fault. It's all Lightfoot's fault. It's all Jesse Sharkey, Karen Lewis's fault. It's all this person. It's Tiny Dancer. No, it's not true. And people know it. But nobody will say it because I lie for you and you lie for me. And around the chestnut tree, we dance. So go ahead. If for anybody that is interested, though, I'm not interested in just sort of cursing the darkness and the purveyors of said darkness all the time. It's boring. It has no impact. Motivates no one, it would seem to me. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I guess when I see people's houses liquidated and they don't care for somebody else's guaranteed 7-figure pension, and I see stories that detail systemic sexual abuse of children and people don't care, then I said, okay, you've persuaded me. But for people who do care, just sort of from a public policy perspective, you're looking for civilized places to live, civilized people to interact with. It is interesting, there's a movement afoot when it comes to K through 12 education to provide curricula that is consistent with what we know as the success sequence. Republican legislators in Illinois sent a bill that Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee signed, amending the state's family life curricula to include a discussion of marriage, family structure, and the importance of work. Lawmakers in Ohio and Alabama are also considering similar legislation. And and by the way, this goes back to what we were talking about the other week, how Mississippi schools, when adjusted for racial distribution, are outperforming the schools of, enlightened cosmopolitan places like Illinois. Well, the success sequence, again, is educating kids that basically if you graduate from high school, if you don't commit a crime, if you get a job, any job, and you don't have children before you get married, you have about a 99% chance of never living in poverty. And this is what they're infusing into the curricula, where we have the disintegration of the family and, the politicization of the curriculum in government schools, too, where they're just indoctrination camps to raise the next generation of Stacey Davis Gateses and Brandon Johnsons. But some of the states are choosing a different course, particularly red states, like in Ohio, like in Alabama. Other states that are not so red also considering taking this up because the social consequences of not following the success sequence are so obvious and substantial. I mean, so there are other places. You call out the barbarism where you see it, but you also point to civilization where you see it too. And then you say, choose. And Chicago, I suspect, will maintain its commitment to barbarism.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
A world without signs. It's hard to imagine. No directions, no branding or identity for businesses. But over 70 years ago, Rhoda was built and has been helping Chicagoland businesses get noticed on the street, on the job site, and on the move. Family owned and fiercely focused on quality, Rhoda delivers custom signs, vehicle wraps, wall graphics, and more with fast lead times and real service. From design to print and fabrication to installation, we handle every step so you don't have to. Whether you need a logo on your building, a message on your fleet, or a bold presence at your next event, Rhoda makes it happen. Check out the possibilities at Rhoda.com. That's ROEDA.com to schedule your consult today. Rhoda.com. Rhoda. Signs, print, service. We don't just make signs. We get you recognized.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com. AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. A friend sent this to me, so I just wanted to highlight this story. I don't have a lot of color on it, but I don't think it really requires much. A Lakeview man who struck 3 pedestrians with his car while on probation for killing a 93-year-old woman with the same vehicle was sentenced to prison for both crimes. This is back in January of 2023.
Oh, okay.
33-year-old received 5 years for aggravated DUI and 8 years for reckless homicide. The case for which he was originally on probation because, of course, of the repeated killings.
Why after the first time when he plowed down a 93-year-old and killed her, why wouldn't they take his vehicle away from him and suspend his license?
It's not only that he did that, it's also how he did it.
Oh, boy. September
of 2018, two drivers yielded to allow 93-year-old Lorraine Campione to cross a driveway in the 5500 block of North Sheridan.
Oh, boy.
But this guy made an improper left turn in his SUV, overtook a vehicle on the left, struck the 93-year-old woman. This is all on surveillance cameras. Then he got out of his SUV.
Oh, gosh.
Tried to remove her body from his BMW's wheel by pulling on her leg. When that failed, he tried to take other motorists' cars, but that also failed.
That's the devil, man.
I don't think he was attempting to render aid.
No, I don't think. I'm like, hey, are you okay? I'm so sorry. Let me back this thing up off your leg. Instead, he was yanking her. That is so grotesque, probably creating more pain in her final moments on this planet.
He pleaded guilty to reckless homicide with a motor vehicle in March of 2021 and received a 30-month probation sentence.
For that? For taking somebody else's life?
Yeah, and I wouldn't exactly say he was remorseful about it. Only a few months into his probation, he then struck 3 more people with the same BMW. This is in 2021. That was 2018. This is 2021. A man and a woman, both 39, were crossing the street at Irving Park and Broadway when he struck them in his BMW. Then he crashed into a gas station fence while making a U-turn, returned to the scene of the first collision, and struck a 55-year-old bicyclist trying to help the first 2 victims.
Oh, good. I mean, first of all, take away the keys in the car. Why? This is so infuriating. And next, I swear, if you tell me he's here illegally, I'm walking out the door.
He pleaded guilty to repeated aggravated DUI. Haven't I seen you before? And that was, of course, aggravated DUI with a suspended or revoked license because of, the killing of the 93-year-old. Prosecutors dropped 5 other felonies in a plea deal with him.
Why?
After receiving a 50% reduction for good behavior and 612 days of credit earned before pleading. Oh, that was back before the good days when we have the Safety Act and we could just release him straight away. He is scheduled to be paroled in November of 2024. This was the story back in January. And he has been paroled. So he's back out. You see a blue SUV, you may want to, first of all, not cross the street if you're on foot and turn in the other direction if you're not. I got this message because of a friend of mine was a witness to the vehicular homicide of that 93-year-old woman.
Oh, God. I mean, it must have been traumatizing.
I would
think. Like watching a horror film.
Yeah. So because she was a witness, she got this notice that he has been released and is on probation. And so she was, basically, here's what she said. I'm terrified for the safety of the public. I don't know where else to turn except the media. The system has failed repeatedly, and I believe it's only a matter of time before someone else gets hurt or killed. Well, yeah, based on that track record that I just described, I would tend to agree with her.
I mean, after he hit those 2, then he came back and hit the guy on the bicycle who was trying to help render aid to the 2 that he had struck previously.
Yeah.
I mean, that's some, that's just not involuntary. That's a planned attack.
I think there's something going on with that guy other than drinking, although that's certainly maybe a contributing factor, but very bizarre case. This sounds like somebody who is, psychopathic.
Right, but the fact that they didn't take away his vehicle.
Well, the fact that he went away for a couple of years.
And then came back and is exhibiting the same behavior. So clearly he didn't learn anything. He's a madman in a vehicle, and vehicles can kill.
Well, you just wonder. I mean, it's just the same old as all of these former CPS honor students that are roaming the streets of Chicago. And you just see this over and over again, this preventable, and what we talk about all the
Preventable crimes.
Preventable crimes, both domestically as well as with respect to people in this country illegally. And I mean, and this was a person, my friend's friend, who actually stepped up, got involved, worked with police and prosecutors to make the case, because she said, I saw something and I wanted to make sure that there's justice for this 93-year-old who was mowed down by this guy. And then, the system fails. So the system fails the victims' families. It fails people that are civic-minded and do the right thing. Okay. It's not funny, but you just...
And now, I don't know if you're going to be driving around downtown while you're here, but you should, because so many illegals have vehicles and they do not abide by the stoplight or the stop. They do whatever they want. They'll just go. And yesterday I just saw somebody just drive into the intersection with at Irving Park and the Kennedy. Like, oh,
well, so
who is this person? Expired plates.
Well, so do I. So I don't have expired plates, but I sort of.
Okay. Oh no, you would never do that.
I sort of do what I.
That'd be a death wish.
I drive how I feel I need to as well. I don't really consider. No. I mean, when you're on these fury roads, I think sort of the rules of the road have been suspended. Culturally, isn't that what we've done? Sort of suspend the rules of the road. I mean, police can't stop anybody anyway, so it's every man and woman for themselves out there, and even more so the case with this guy back out on the street. All right, coming up at 6:06, we will get to, as Jim Gagliano, former FBI supervisory agent, referred to him mockingly yesterday, Saint Jim Comey. Yeah,
It's being silly, man.
The Saint made an appearance on MSNBC. 6:06.
Today it's going to be rain throughout much of the day, and tomorrow we're going to have a string of days of rain and highs only in the upper 50s. So welcome back, Dan. 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
4 down, 6 to go. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. They captured another of the prisoners on the run in Louisiana.
Gary Price, he was the person who was arrested last night. He's charged with first-degree murder and was being held without bond awaiting his trial.
Fox's Nate Foy outside the Orleans Justice Center.
6 of the 10 fugitives who escaped this jail on Friday morning of last week are still out there, and these are some dangerous folks. You have 200 law enforcement officers at the local, state, and federal level, all looking for these guys. And they broke out of the jail by digging a hole in the wall behind a cell toilet.
A Democrat in Congress is facing criminal charges after a clash earlier this month outside a New Jersey immigration detention facility.
Acting U.S. Attorney Alina Habba claims Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, quote, assaulted, impeded, and interfered with law enforcement when she entered an ICE detention center in New Jersey. McIver says she and 2 other members of Congress who entered the building were fulfilling our lawful oversight responsibilities. House Democratic leadership in a joint statement says there's no credible evidence for the New Jersey Democrat to face charges.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz. Now, trespassing charges that were filed against Newark Mayor Ras Baraka from that same incident have been dropped. President Trump will go to the Capitol in a few hours, trying to get House Republicans united on what he calls one big, beautiful budget bill they may vote on this week. The day after the president's phone calls with Russian leader Vladimir Putin and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. Fox's Jared Halpern's at the White House.
President Trump says he's hopeful a ceasefire can be reached.
Very big egos involved, I tell you. Big egos involved. But I think something's going to happen. And if it doesn't, I'd just back away and they're going to have to keep going.
Still, he believes Putin is ready for peace.
I think he's had enough. This has been a long time. This has been going on for more than 3 years.
America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 51 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Vice President J.D. Vance is giving Pope Leo a gift that is near and dear to his heart.
The VP met with the Pope at the Vatican and presented him with a Chicago Bears jersey with the name Pope Leo XIV on the back.
So this, of course, is a Chicago Bears jersey. Good choice. With your name.
Vance also gave the Chicago native a letter from President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump inviting him to the White House. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
The U.S. Department of Justice is launching an investigation into Mayor Johnson over allegations of race-based hiring. The probe follows comments the mayor made Sunday at a Southside church where he listed off black officials serving in his administration.
The deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief Operations Officer is a black man.
The mayor received a letter from the DOJ saying there is reasonable cause to believe that he's made hiring decisions solely based on race, possibly violating the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Johnson's remarks on Sunday sparked backlash online from people calling for an investigation. Police say that a delivery driver accidentally drove onto the tarmac over the weekend at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. The incident happened on Saturday morning. Authorities say that a food delivery driver accidentally entered the secured area. The driver was not cited. News is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew. Anytime, anywhere, any place when you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Larry Elder isn't buying it from the left.
Ex-FBI Chief James Comey accused of plotting Trump assassination after an 8647 post. I saw some shells which I assumed were a political message. So you acknowledge you knew it was a political message. You just didn't know that it was a message that suggested taking out Donald Trump. Are you kidding me?
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Michaela's Mobile Spa, Michaela! Michaela got a quick business insurance quote from Progressive and chose from over 30 customizable coverages. Sure, it helps she's her only employee and does literally everything. But while others would rest on their laurels, Michaela was hard at work saving big. So take that, hypothetical other employee who doesn't exist. Be your own Michaela. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
I've had a number of surgeries, and frankly, I don't have time to rehab a surgery and an operation at this point in my life. I didn't want to take time off my kids' activities.
That's why former college and pro football player Bobby Carpenter turned to QC Kinetics. We couldn't be happier saving our patients like him from operating rooms and long recoveries.
I've been able to resume like normal activity for me, which is a lot of running. It's a lot of workouts. I've been very, very blessed with how it's been able to hold up.
For so long, patients have accepted surgery as the only solution. But with new technologies, the medical professionals at QC Kinetics use regenerative treatments, your body's own biologics, to help heal and restore knees, hips, shoulders, and backs.
I actually ran into a friend of mine over at our golf course, and he had his knee done. It felt so well. He'd got his shoulder done. He goes, I can't thank you enough. He had heard the commercial on the air, and so it's feeling great.
Find out how you can avoid surgery and finally get relief. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
From the Team Hawkburg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, 15 minutes as well. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, about 14 minutes. Outbound, about 20 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office, 19 minutes. That's due to a crash that blocks a right lane right there around Manheim. On the outbound side, about 18 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, about 24 minutes. On the outbound side, about 17 minutes. Traffic is a service of Low T Center. Guys, have you been thinking about starting TRT? The time is now. You can visit any Low T Center or Synergex and get your consultation and test free. Don't let low testosterone slow you down this spring. Get the energy you need at Synergex or Low T Center. Offer limited. Book now at fixmylow.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Periods of rain, thunderstorm, windy and cool today. The high 59. Rain and breezy tonight, low 52. Breezy, cool, rain and drizzle again tomorrow, the high 55. Passing shower Thursday morning, then mostly cloudy with the high 57. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The sainted Jim Comey, former FBI director. I hope Pope Leo XIV is paying attention. Canonization could be in order. You know what Jim Comey is?
What?
A victim of the times in which we live. A man, a patriot like Jim Comey, can't take a simple walk on the beach with his wife to enjoy his golden years, talk about the next book that will be gifted to the public to enjoy.
Just a man in sweatpants and jeans.
Without being swept into manufactured controversies by the deplorables. Victim of the times in which we live, Jim Comey, being platformed by, who else? Nicole Wallace and MSNBC.
You are back in the middle of a political firestorm.
Yeah, for walking on the beach with my wife. So I don't know how we ended up here. It never occurred to me that it was any kind of controversial thing, but that's the time we live in.
So take me back to the walk on the beach.
We were walking on the beach. We went to the beach to prepare for this week, which was the launch of my book, and to think about the book and to prepare to answer questions about it. And we were walking back towards the road, and we saw in the sand someone had arranged shells with numbers. And Patrice, my wife, said, "Why would someone put an address in the sand?" And I said, "I don't know." And we stood over it, and I said, "I think it's some kind of like political message." And she said, 86, when I was a server, she did a lot of work in restaurants, meant to remove an item from the menu when you ran out of ingredients. And I said, well, to me, as a kid, it always meant to leave a place, to ditch a place. I said, that's really clever. So then she said, you should take a picture of that. And I did. And I posted it on my Instagram account and thought nothing more of it until I heard through her that people were saying it was some sort of a call for assassination, which is crazy. But I took it down. Even if I think it's crazy, I don't want to be associated with violence of any kind.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that same line. Just a walk on the beach. Just a silly old man, because he talked about that too, that he's just a grandfather wearing sweatshirts and jeans.
Yeah, he is incapable of bad intentions. So it's not possible for him to have malicious thoughts or bad intentions, okay?
I really thought that I was done. I was in another life. I was a grandfather and an author wearing, sweaters and jeans. And then I went for a walk on the beach and posted a silly picture of shells that I thought was a clever way to express a political viewpoint. And actually, I still think it is. I don't see it the way some people are still saying it is. But again, I don't want any part of any violence. I've never been associated with violence, and so that's why I took it down.
So your position, even after all of this, the Secret Service calling you and bringing you in for questioning, is that the phrase, the message on the shells was political speech and is political speech.
Yeah, by somebody. I actually didn't think of it as political speech by me, but I thought, what a clever way to express a political view. The shells were the same color for each of the letters, so different colors for the letters. It took a lot of work. Somebody with artistic flair did that, and I have a hard time believing it was anybody with a dark intention, and it certainly was no dark intention on my part, on my spouse's part.
Yeah.
Oh, no. 312-642-5600. Wow, maybe it was Hunter Biden who had the artistic flair. with the clever shells that were found on the sand. This is so dreamy.
He's a blow artist, so sand really isn't his medium. But,
excuse me, Dan.
I just enjoy the childlike innocence of a Jim Comey. You know, doesn't it bring you back to when you weren't so cynical about the world? I mean, think about that. Jim Comey can spend his life inside the D.C. bubble at DOJ, director of the FBI, and still maintain that childlike innocence. Isn't that nice?
Yeah. He did get a little defensive when talking about Trump, and Trump's been trying to arrest him several times, and woe is me, you don't want to hear it. He's been a victim, and he's paid his taxes, Dan.
Yeah,
he's been audited like so many of us, because we've been audited too, Jim.
The independence is what he really focused upon, because again, this is somebody who is always inside the lines. This is somebody who worries about even the appearance of anything that would be improper. I mean, that's the Jim Comey record. So, golly gee, for anybody to impute bad intentions, point of fact, I mean, he's not here to cast shells, but golly gee, some of the people have compromised the agency's independence, and he just can't be party to that. I mean, he went to great lengths when he was there to polish that junior G-man badge that he wore every day.
As a country, I thought one of our points of agreement, Republican and Democrat, was the FBI director should not be a buddy of the president's. And I was the 7th director. The 5 before me all tried to live that way. I knew when Barack Obama was downstairs at the FBI playing basketball. I never went down. I love the game because the FBI director cannot be a buddy of the U.S. president.
He gave up playing basketball with Barack Obama because his principles.
Or did Arnie Duncan want the spot? No, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
yeah, this man, we should be celebrating him and not have Secret Service FBI agents at his door because he wrote 8647. Or he didn't. I'm sorry. Those were just clever shells found on the sand.
It's so inspiring.
It's just beautiful.
I mean, he really is.
Well, it was political speech.
He really is a paragon of virtue. And you just don't get that very much anymore, particularly from our political leaders. I mean, it's just a breath of fresh air.
Well, once he found out what 86 really meant and 8647.
So your position, even after all of this, the Secret Service calling you and bringing you in for questioning, is that the phrase, the message on the shells was political speech and is political speech.
Yeah, by somebody. I actually didn't think of it as political speech by me, but I thought, what a clever way to express a political view. The shells were the same color for each of the letters, so different colors for the letters. It took a lot of work. Somebody with artistic flair did that, and I have a hard time believing it was anybody with a dark intention, and it certainly was no dark intention on my part, on my spouse's part.
Maybe
his wife, he included his wife in it.
Maybe it was Banksy. Maybe Banksy has moved from spray paint to shells as his medium. I don't know. Because obviously it took a lot of talent to put that together, as Mr. Comey said.
Talent.
Anthony and Joliet.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. This character is expecting the American people to believe he was the preeminent investigator of criminal activity, didn't know what 86 meant, right? Give us a break. He and the media that glorifies him are scumbags, period.
He said it was just an item on a menu that no longer, they ran out of, according to his wife.
Yeah,
she was in the service industry.
That's the diner lingo. We've heard that from David Brooks. Yeah, we get it. Now everybody's coming up with the etymology on 86. No, he was referring to Maxwell Smart from Get Smart. He was Agent 86. So he's like, maybe he wanted Maxwell Smart to get together with Donald Trump, or Donald Trump to hire Maxwell Smart. I mean, whatever. Whatever. Give me a break. Yeah, we're going to analyze this to death, so you sort of get into the minutia rather than just seeing this thing for what it was. Good golly, I perish the thought that anybody would take this as something that would imply violence. Roger in DeKalb.
Yes. Hey, Jim Comey is a delusional psychopath. I think psychopathy is studied in the FBI, and they use it in profiling people. It's like, I can't believe somebody has never checked this guy in the past, because for years he's been like this. That is absolutely crazy.
For years he's been a saint, is what you're saying, and he deserves to be canonized. I agree. Jerry in Milwaukee.
Yeah, good morning, Dan and Amy. Here are three things. Number one, Comey says he thought it was a clever way of delivering a political message. And then in the next breath, he says he didn't realize what he was posting. And then he says, I've never been associated with violence in my life. My God, he was the head of the FBI. And then the third thing, the most exasperating thing, was the complicity of the media in this whole thing. This is just like a child was questioning him.
Hey, now, Nicole Wallace is off limits.
Text message, Dan and Amy, maybe it was the sea turtles who randomly, cleverly put the shells found on the sand.
Could have been. Maybe the one with the plastic straw in his nostril was a plea for help. Michael on the south side.
Morning, Dan, and welcome back, Amy.
Thanks.
Thank you both for taking my call. Comey provided further evidence that Trump was justified in firing him. If Comey, a former FBI director, did not know what 86 meant, then he should never have been FBI chief in the first place.
Thanks for the call, Michael. Well, he just wasn't familiar with the vernacular from a bygone era of, sort of film noir G-men, with the fast-talking high trousers guys.
And now back to 1943's fast-talking high trousers.
Well, isn't this a fine song and dance?
What are you getting so hot about?
Keep your shirt on.
Where do you get off making remarks like that?
Supposing I say you're a lunkhead.
Well, I ain't much for supposing.
Well, supposing you were.
Well, maybe I'm through supposing and I'm fixed to start figuring.
Horseradish.
Well, aren't you a pocket full of firecrackers?
Oh, yeah? You got something to say about it?
I'll say plenty.
Yeah, I just not from that era. More of but like a protege of a Joe Friday, but with different vernacular because he's cool. Remember, he's wearing jeans and sweaters.
And he's a grandfather. He threw that in there too. Don't forget.
And by the way, his book is available for pre-purchase on Amazon if anybody's interested. Antonio Bolingbrook.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So James Comey keeps claiming it was a way to put out a neat political statement, right? Well, everybody knows who's in the weeds that in Washington, D.C., if anything you do is considered a political statement or due to politics, they really do not go after you. They don't charge you with a crime. Anything seen as political, per the FBI, at least since the Barack Obama years, they will not charge you as a crime. And that's something that was really pushed with the Russia hoax and how Mueller and her and everybody seemed to treat really the left because, they were just being political.
Thanks for the call, Antonio. Well, yeah, it is interesting that his seashell find turned into the messaging du jour on placards like at the Hands Across Chicagoland over the weekend with all of those
that's right.
Tesla firebombing enthusiasts out in the streets. But, okay.
What's the title of his book? Seashells by the Seaside? I don't know the title of his book is. I'm not going to even look at it.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, maybe he should change the title.
Tony Roselle.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. We can't stoop to their level with the violent rhetoric. There's no need to be calling for someone to be canonized.
Yeah, very good, Tony. Chris in Lake County.
Yeah, gee golly, I don't like violence of any kind, but I'm going to send armed agents to political foes' homes at 4 o'clock in the morning with their guns out for political speech. This guy's a tool.
Thanks for the call, Chris.
Text message real quick. Dan and Amy, I can see it now. Flags up that read 8647 next to other weird flags. You know what's going real quick? You know what's going on?
Next to love is love and no person is illegal and
hate has no home.
Hate has no home
Which
here.
is getting kind of old.
And coexist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure.
It's so funny.
Nice
so
compliment.
Real quick, ancillary issue. The Ukrainian flag was a big deal, and then, gay pride, and then back to the Ukrainian flag, and then the Palestinian flag.
Sure.
Guess what they have up now, my neighbors? This is great. The Canadian flag. Thank you. They're not even Canadian. It's the greatest thing ever. Hey.
Kip in Stillman Valley. Oh, let's try that again. Go ahead, Kip.
Yeah, this guy's a serial liar looking for sympathy shoppers because his new book coming out. Wow. I mean, look about free advertising, everybody talking about this, And I hope Bongino Patel and the new DA goes after this guy with both barrels and about 200 FBI agents to bring that slime bag down. Have a great day.
Well, they already
call, Kip.
Secret Service already interviewed him.
He's not going to get arrested. He shouldn't get arrested. There's no basis for this, and that the last thing you want to do is provide a platform for this guy to continue lionizing himself. I mean, for something that is so easily going to, it's going to be impossible to get a conviction on this because all he has to do is say what you've heard him say. Golly gee, I had no idea. And of course I just meant get rid of, impeach, or it's a protest. I certainly, violence is the last thing that's just my mind. I'm a man of the law.
Right.
I'm a man of peace. And it's just, so you use this as an opportunity to properly ridicule and mock him, to reduce him in the eyes of sensible people who thought there may have been anything redeeming about him. And this, and it actually, the worst thing he could have done from his perspective, I would argue, if I was a PR flack for him, which of course I would never be, but
if you were, what?
The worst thing he could do is go on Nicole Wallace and do this boyish insouciance routine. Oh, golly gee, Jiminy Christmas, what do people think me? No, all I do, I'm a man of, this is just the world in which we live. He's just this sort of put upon cultural critic, good guy, committed to this country and loves his family and his country. The worst thing he could do is that disingenuous show that he put on with Nicole Wallace acting as his prompt, because it's just so transparent to anybody that has any sort of sense about these things.
Text message: ignorance is no excuse for not obeying the law.
Yeah, well, he's feigning that. I mean, the whole thing, everything he does is feigning. He is feigning in advance of a particular political or economic interest. That's the whole thing. He's just another disingenuous scumbag politician who is incapable of telling the truth. And every appearance he makes on a show like Nicole Wallace's confirms it. Thank you, Jim Comey. Kevin in Boston.
Right on, I concur. James Comey is just far too big over his bridges. He thinks he's beyond reproach. So let's hope that Kash Patel, whatever these new documents are found in the Hoover building, this will give the fuel and the motivation to come up with a dossier, the Russian dossier, the Mueller report, which taxpayers paid $50 million on, where they knew that there was an iota, a shed of evidence. And what's coincidental about 86-47, do you know, ironically, that it was 8,647 days from 9/11, from September 11th.
Oh, boy. Well, now we're really getting into the numerology. All right. Thanks for the call, Kevin. Here's what these documents that Kash and Bongino told Maria Bartiromo are coming out. You know, my friend is a retired Cook County judge. I think has it exactly right. With the new trove of documents, whatever gets released with the assent of Congress, as Kash Patel referenced, you know what they're going to show us?
What?
They're going to show us, how they did what they did, but it is not going to provide the basis for a criminal prosecution, in part because any, conceivable statute of limitations has run on, charges of perjury, obstruction of justice, those sorts of things. So we'll see. But I suspect my friend, the retired judge, is right.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You never want to miss one of life's most important moments. A graduation, a birthday, a first communion, a wedding. When these moments happen, you want to make sure to capture them so that you and your loved ones can remember them for years to come. For over 30 years, families have relied on Tom Kaloran Photography to capture important life moments. This locally owned family business can provide the solutions you need for your important event photography, from weddings and birthdays to class reunions and golf outings. No matter the size or scope, Tom Kaloran Photography will make sure you have lasting memories to share for years to come. Tom Kaloran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit KaloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Kaloran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Michaela's Mobile Spa, Michaela! Michaela got a quick business insurance quote from Progressive and chose from over 30 customizable coverages. Sure, it helps she's her only employee and does literally everything, but while others would rest on their laurels, Michaela was hard at work saving big. So take that, hypothetical other employee who doesn't exist. Be your own Michaela. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
Not everyone who handles your personal information is as careful as you are, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the United States. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock will monitor hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. And if your identity's stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com. LifeLock. For the threats you can't control, terms apply.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is going to close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
Comey won't be arrested, but New Jersey Congresswoman LaMonica McIver was arrested. We'll talk about that a bit later. But at 6:36, more fallout from the disclosure that the big guy has late-stage prostate cancer. And one disclosure prompts another one from Dilbert creator Scott Adams. We'll have all that at 6:36.
But first, let's stop by the newsroom once again. Here's Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 51 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560. The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump says direct peace talks between Russia and Ukraine are the next steps after a Monday phone call with Russian leader Vladimir Putin.
He said the tone and the spirit of the conversation were excellent, and he said negotiations between Russia and Ukraine will begin immediately. But it's not clear exactly when or where that will happen, although he did suggest that the Vatican had stated that it would be interested in hosting negotiations. Although it's not said, two things are clear from this call: that President Putin did not agree to Ukraine's suggestion of a 30-day unconditional truce, and President Trump received enough reassurance from President Putin that the Russian leader was serious about peace, at a time when the White House has said that Donald Trump has grown both weary and frustrated with how the push for peace so far has gone. I'm Nick Harper in Washington.
The FBI is sending a task force to Tennessee after Director Kash Patel called Memphis the homicide capital of America. That's following a string of deadly shootings over the weekend that left 3 people dead in less than 4 hours. News is a service of Low T Center. Guys, have you been thinking about starting TRT? The time is now. You can visit any Low T Center or Synergex and get your consultation and test free. Don't let low testosterone slow you down this spring. Get the energy you need at Synergex or Low T Center. Offer limited. Book now at fixmylowt.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Arvin?
Yeah?
Ben is walking around Penny Mustard's showroom handing out cigars.
I know.
But why?
He's celebrating the new edition.
You mean?
That's right. Have a cigar, Nicole.
Congratulations! I just heard the news.
Thanks. I'm so happy. You should be.
Do you have a photo?
Of course. Here.
Wait, that's the Rowan bedroom collection.
I know. Isn't it beautiful?
I thought...
You thought Penny Mustard's newest bedroom would be made in the USA and tariff-free with locally sourced wood, forever-tight bed brackets, and drawers strong enough to stand on.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Look at the molding, the feet, the inlays.
The Rowan is one fine-looking bedroom collection.
Yeah, it gets its good looks from me.
Come see our new addition, the Rowan Bedroom Collection, with king bed, 9-drawer dresser, mirror, and 2-drawer nightstand, starting at $92.40 at Penny Mustard.
7 locations throughout Chicagoland.
PennyMustard.com.
Newer versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Come hungry to Scott Tucker Solutions Night at Portillo's, benefiting the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. Join us Thursday, May 22nd from 5 to 8 p.m. at Portillo's in Niles at 8832 West Dempster Street and use the cashier code Portillos20. The night's bill is on Scott Tucker, and you eating free Portillo's helps support the families of fallen and disabled Chicago police officers and their families via the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. Enjoy your favorites: hot dogs, Italian beef, and chocolate cake. Scott Tucker is picking up the check, and Portillo's is donating 20% of gross sales to the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. So bring your appetite to Scott Tucker Solutions Night at Portillo's. It's Thursday, May 22nd from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Portillo's in Niles at 8832 West Dempster Street. And make sure to use the cashier code Portillos20. Eat well and come out and run up Scott Tucker's bill and support the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. We'll see you there. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Active Liver is the easy way to get a daily detox to keep you healthy and feeling your best. Find Active Liver at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
From the Seymour Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 18 minutes, 15 minutes outbound. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 21 minutes outbound, about 22 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office, 27 minutes. Now we have a jackknifed semi on the exit ramp. This is going to be on the off-ramp to northbound Mannheim Road. That's going to be slowing you down. On the outbound side, it's about 21 minutes. This report is sponsored by Macy's Backstage. What will you find at Macy's Backstage? How about essential warm weather styles? Just $30 and under, like dresses, shoes, and bags, men's, and even kids' looks. Find the latest trends, new arrivals, and great prices at a Macy's Backstage store near you. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Periods of rain, thunderstorm, windy day. High today 59. Rain and breezy tonight, low 52. Rain, drizzle, breezy and cool for tomorrow. The high at 55. A shower in passing on Thursday morning. Otherwise a cloudy day. The high 57. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. These snippets cannot be played and shared enough. In order: KJP, Mayorkas, Mitch Landrieu, the former mayor of New Orleans, campaign co-chairman, along with the Eva Peron of East Lansing. That would be Gretchen Whitmer. Pelosi, California Rep. Robbie Garcia, who, likes to engage in sort of low-level mockery of, for example, people who question the propriety of taxpayer funding of media like NPR and PBS. Chris Coons from Delaware. Janet Yellen.
Oh, don't forget her. Captain Crunch, what do you call her? Captain Kangaroo, I'm sorry. Not Captain Crunch.
Comrade Bernie. Merrick Garland. General Mark Milley. Jill Biden. Dan Goldman. Jamie Raskin. Jim Clyburn. Chuck Schumer. Is that the inner circle that we're talking about that keeps being referred to generically as having lied and lied and lied? Does the D.C. Press Corps want to name names? Do the politicians want to return the favor since they were in cahoots? This is what they told you over and over and over again, just in case anybody has forgotten. KJP, Mayorkas, Landrieu, Pelosi, Robbie Garcia, Chris Coons, Janet Yellen.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Yeah. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. I can't even keep up with him.
The most difficult part about a meeting with President Biden is preparing for it, because he is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
I can testify because I've been working very closely with this president for the past 2 years. I've been knowing him for 30 years. And I'm telling you, this guy's tough. Yeah. He's smart. He's on his game.
Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker.
The president is focused. He's detail-oriented. He's always thinking about the big picture.
He is engaging. He is capable. He has an incredible record as president.
And I'm often with him on foreign trips. He's at the top of his game. So he has a vision. He has knowledge. He has judgment. He has a strategic thinking.
I met with the president, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he seemed fine to me.
I have complete confidence.
Merrick Garland.
I have watched him expertly guide meetings of staff and cabinet members. I could not have more confidence in the president.
I would just
General
tell
Mark
you that
Milley.
I meet frequently with the president, and every single time I meet with him, he is just fine.
But he
More
is,
Pelosi.
again, knowledgeable, wise.
Incredibly
More
sharp,
Mayorkas.
incredibly probing, incredible command of the details.
He is sharp.
More KJP.
He's on top of things.
There is nothing to
More
these
Coons.
challenges, these suggestions that somehow he's not sharp and he's not capable.
We
More
see
Pelosi.
Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issue.
And you're going to see
Jill
how smart
Biden.
he is and the experience he has. I say his age is an asset.
He's wise.
Yes, he's wise. He has wisdom. He has experience.
And his experience, because of his age and his wisdom, has been invaluable to this country.
A lot of countries,
Jamie Raskin.
people who've been in office a longer period of time are praised for their wisdom.
I have seen a lot
Clyburn.
of 72-year-olds not as capable as this 80-year-old.
It is hard for
More
us to
KJP.
keep up with this president.
His mental acuity
Schumer.
is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years. He's fine. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity has declined is wrong.
And this kind of sense that he's not ready for this job is just a bucket of BS that's so deep your boots will get stuck in.
Yeah. Let the record reflect.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that same line. Dr. Zeke Emanuel.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. So after all of that, for the last several years, Hakeem Jeffries, who is the House Minority Leader, and after the prostate cancer reveal over the weekend, Hakeem Jeffries is asked about this. And what do you get? What do you get? After
more lies,
4 years, you get the same. It's just not just lies. It's the high dudgeon. It's the how dare you.
Questions?
Thank you, sir. Given the revelations with President Biden's cancer diagnosis and the release of the Her recording, why were Democrats not more open to talking about President Biden's age in 2024?
My thoughts and prayers have been extended to President Biden. It's a painful moment for him and his family. It's a very serious diagnosis. My expectation that President Biden is going to meet this moment with the courage and resilience that he's consistently shown. Seems to me entirely inappropriate that at this moment in time, when President Biden is dealing with a serious and aggressive form of cancer, there are Republicans who are peddling conspiracy theories and want us to look backward at a time when they actually are taking health care away from the American people. No, as House Democrats, we're going to look forward. They literally are trying to take health care away from millions of Americans at this very moment in the dead of night. And Republicans want to fan the flames of conspiracy theories at this moment? No, thank you.
How dare you, sir? Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep it up, man. Keep it up, Hakeem. You think that's clever? Roll with it. How dare you ask? I mean, this is what Axelrod did yesterday, too, or over the weekend in response to now. Okay, now let's tamp down any uncomfortable questions about the conspiracy of fools that lied to us for 4 years that we knew were lying to us, but and now they're all running to cover their own backsides, like the rats that they are. Yeah, okay, all right. Hakeem Jeffries could come over the top. How dare you? Difficult time, and then of course the question about the timing of the revelation that he has late stage prostate cancer, which you've had urologists weighing in on from the weekend into yesterday. Dr. David Schusterman saying this.
It's very unlikely that someone could get annual checkups and not notice a PSA elevation over the past, But this is what I typically would see in a VA hospital, where a patient hasn't had medical attention in 10 years, presents to an emergency room with bone pain, and then they find that it's metastatic prostate cancer. But in the modern age of medicine, especially the fact that he was a former president, he had intensive state-of-the-art, care where we can see prostate cancer, 10 years in the past. So this is, it's very unusual to hear that someone has prostate cancer where they're annually being followed up. And the fact that we just find it at a Gleason 9 is just pretty much unheard of in this day and age of medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as president, he had access to the best testing and preventative care in the world.
Of course.
So his PSA levels, I guess he chose not to get tested during his annual reports. Well, because Obama did, Clinton did, Trump did.
No.
So what do you think?
No. What I think is they knew, and they didn't say anything. And that's not just me saying it. That's Tiny Dancer's brother,
right,
Dr. Zeke.
He did not develop it in the last 100, 200 days. He had it while he was president. He probably had it at the start of his presidency in 2021. Yes, that I don't think there's any disagreement about that.
Yeah, no disagreement.
Anyone I just think that, Zeke thinks this.
If you're a White House doctor in this situation, I think you would certainly discuss it with the president and talk about the pros and cons. I think if you then ask, well, if President Biden says, well, if I'm your father, which patients often do, what would you recommend? I think the fact is that most White House doctors would recommend getting the test. Yes. And again, the evidence is, look at President Obama, President Bush, younger than President Biden, and they both got the test.
Of course they did.
I know, but why didn't, when they handed out his annual physical, well, I guess they didn't put down any, results of any blood work. They just came out with a blanket statement, declarative statement that he's healthy, he's fine. Move along.
This is not complicated.
No, I know. It's just, it makes me sick. It's like going back to a bad boyfriend that beats you because you get lied to, and it's not changed behavior. And it's disappointing. I mean, it's just eye-opening, though, too, the level that Biden family would stoop to protect the power and the millions of dollars they got from foreign entities.
If you recall on this show, when this was all going down and all those politicians were saying what you just heard them say in that montage, and continue to say, in the case of Hakeem Jeffries, and Jim Clyburn, who said he still thinks that Joe Biden could serve out another term right now. Okay. If you remember, when people were saying that's, they're lying. Yeah, right. They're lying. Take them at their word. That's what you want to go with? Okay, we accept. We accept your version of events. And just wait. Just wait. It will all come out. First of all, I should just accept their version of events because you wanted Joe Biden to be the nominee. Now they came up with perhaps the one person who was worse, but Joe Biden was done, particularly after that debate. He was done really before the debate, but particularly after, of course. So, but you want your opponent to be as weak as possible, and Joe Biden was about as weak an opponent as Trump was going to get in 2024. So that was one reason. And the other reason is, hey, let them run screaming off a cliff with this propaganda, and then they think they can come up with a bigger, better misdirection play, right-wing propaganda, right-wing conspiracy theories, vast right-wing conspiracy theory. That's a punchline associated with Hillary Clinton's existence now. When Monica Lewinsky was a vast right-wing conspiracy, well, this is the same way. All the talk about Biden's diminished cognitive ability, about the dishonesty that was rife throughout the administration and the D.C. press corps, which is the administration's comm shop. All that is a permanent part of their legacy. Not a single one of those people, if we properly memorialize this, will ever be able to escape their part in this deception. And this is exactly what they so richly deserved. For 4 years, they built up a record of showing you who they are. So it wasn't a one-off. It wasn't, I got misled, but then I corrected the record. No. Nobody did anything until they absolutely had to. And then it was a race to cover your ass with Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson leading the field in their silly little book. Getting what they richly deserved permanently, much more permanently than if we had, sort of pressed the issue, demanded answers that we weren't going to get anyway. Don't get upset about it. Let them hang themselves. And that's what they've done. Tom in DuPage.
Hey, I just think the whole prostate thing is sort of similar to the Bo, his son. When Biden would be was uncomfortable with a question, out of the blue he would bring up Bo. It would stymie the reporter. Well, this is sort of the same thing in a way. Now you bring up the prostate stuff. How dare you bring up anything of the past? A lot of nerve talking about the dementia. That he's got cancer now. So, hey, I think a lot of strategy.
Well, it's starting with the release of the revelation, right? The release of information they clearly had for many, many moons. But now it comes out after the Her tapes come out, where actually, to Tom's point, he did exactly that in that Her interview.
Yeah.
Where did you keep the classified documents? And somehow he starts going into when Bo passed away and he can't remember. And then just sort of, winds out of control as he careens from one sort of vague memory to the other. That's exactly right.
But I always wonder who was in charge when he was out of it.
Scott and Aurora.
Hey, every time a Nancy Pelosi or something would see this look of genius in Joe's eyes.
Yeah, right.
I think he was just making a pot roast in his pants.
Oh my! I've never heard that before in my life. Have you? A pot. Oh.
Yeah, I think I'm picking up what he's putting down.
I think so too.
Corey and Woodlawn.
And thanks for taking the call, guys. I feel sorry for Joe Biden because the permanent class in Washington, through him, are getting everything that they want, even the release of this information. And they flew too close with the sun with Kamala Harris, and they knew it. But through him, they got everything that they wanted. This thing is nothing but another lie. This guy had this thing for a very long time, and now they're trying to use it to get sympathy for the midterms. I know it. It's got nothing to do with his cancer diagnosis. They're trying to push back up their numbers.
Absolutely, and they're trying to get him a political albatross, out from around their neck. That's the other thing they're trying to do.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Hello, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-developers of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Laboratory studies have shown that certain nutraceuticals are very effective against herpes simplex 1 viruses. These nutraceuticals are also found in Virago. And here is another proud user of Virago.
Hi, my name is Yolanta. I'm proud user of Virago. For my entire life, I suffer from major symptoms of herpes simplex 1. I had regular major outbreaks in my mouth and nose. Then I was introduced to Virago. Within 2 weeks, my symptoms significantly reduced, and presently I have no symptoms, and I have credited this to taking Virago on a regular basis. Virago changed my life. I can't recommend it enough.
Order your bottle of Virago today online at myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com. Coupon code IMMUNE. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
AM 560, The Answer.
That sound means it's time for in-depth history with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world, just the history you don't know, and Frank does. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. The 1781 Articles of Confederation government did not have a federal judicial branch, as the southern states saw it as a potential threat to their peculiar institution of slavery. Its establishment in the new 1787 Constitution was a major point of contention in the ratification battles that followed, largely over the fear that a federal Supreme Court would someday apply a power called judicial review, which several of the states had already used in their respective borders. And in 1803, new Chief Justice John Marshall did first use this implied power in the Marbury versus Madison decision, tossing out parts of the Judiciary Act of 1789. Definitely needed as a check on hot-headed legislatures and tyrannical executives, judicial review can also be viewed as undemocratic if pushed too far. Arguably, that has sometimes been the case since the 1960s when the practice of nationwide injunctions by mere federal district court judges came into vogue. It's even more of a problem now given the consistent polling showing clear majorities want action by their federal government on illegal immigration and its effects. The judiciary, though, lately seems deliberately obtuse, backing the executive power when he wanted a wide-open border, but now it relies on due process claims to stymie a different executive who wants to close it. Historically, courts are pusillanimous, waiting decades sometimes to correct glaring errors like Plessy, or not intervening in the malevolent prosecutions and gulag treatment of J6 prisoners. Nor did SCOTUS ever declare the sedition acts of John Adams and Woodrow Wilson as unconstitutional either. So these recent moves are curious. Worrywart Chief Justice John Roberts is preeminently concerned about the reputation of the Supreme Court, going so far as to declare Obamacare provisions as taxes despite legislative intent stating otherwise. He should focus now on how out of touch the judicial branch is with the views of the people.
Very good, Frank. Interesting the split decision this week, too. On the one hand, green-lighting President Trump removing TPS from 350,000 Venezuelan migrants here. On the other hand, forestalling the use of the Alien Enemies Act by Trump pending, and returning the case to the appellate court for adjudication. What'd you make of that? A little bit of splitting the baby?
I think so. There do have to be some due process claims. I understand that, but it's pretty clear that the people have, wanted action on this border for 30 years, and the courts have just not been able to provide a clear basis for their decisions, in my opinion, on some of these. They just seem to go with whatever the establishment wants, which seemed to be open borders for a long time. Mm-hmm. And D.C. Commissar Beryl Howell, she just yesterday had some sort of decision on DOJ with the Institute for Peace, throwing that out. So the judiciary is the weakest of the three branches, generally speaking. But I don't know. I just think it's gotten, it's not behind the American people. It's undemocratic, some of the stuff that it's doing.
I concur. Frank, thank you as always. Coming up at 7:07, we'll talk, first about that 2-hour call between Putin and Trump. Cliff May, Foundation for the Defense of Democracies at 7:07.
It's 7 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
President Trump will soon go to the Capitol. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, to meet with House Republicans and urge them to unite around what he calls one big, beautiful budget bill.
If we don't get it, that means the Democrats will have stopped us, and that means people will get a 68% tax increase, the largest in history.
The bill would extend the 2017 Trump tax cuts. It's a big part of it, but some want changes.
Blue state Republicans want higher caps on state and local tax or SALT deductions. Speaker Johnson is saying we are continuing to work on it. It is not a final resolution yet, but I think we're getting very close. President Trump seems to just want to get it over with today. He is going to leave ahead of a 9 a.m. closed door meeting on Capitol Hill as the clock ticks towards this deadline that Republicans set for themselves to get the big, beautiful bill passed by Monday.
Fox's Peter Ducey at the White House. Democrats warn spending cuts in the bill will take away health coverage and food assistance for some Americans in need. A Democratic Congresswoman, LaMonica McIver, facing criminal charges, accused of assaulting and interfering with law enforcement in a clash with federal immigration agents at a New Jersey detention center earlier this month. Border czar Tom Homan just told Fox.
You certainly can't put hands on an ICE agent. So, she's going to have to pay the consequences for doing what she did. She broke the law, and we're going to hold her accountable.
Congresswoman McIver claims ICE agents escalated it, and they've distorted her actions, calling the charges purely political. Israel went after Hamas again overnight with airstrikes that Palestinians say killed at least 60 people. Britain, France, and Canada are urging the Israelis to halt this new offensive.
They say the level of human suffering is intolerable, with aid agencies warning of famine among Gaza's 2 million-plus population. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday allowed 9 trucks carrying aid to enter.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. They've captured another fugitive in New Orleans, a man who was jailed for murder. He was one of 10 who broke out last Friday, 6 others on the run. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 49 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The Justice Department is launching an investigation into Mayor Johnson over allegations of race-based hiring. The probe follows the comments the mayor made Sunday at a Southside church where he listed off black officials serving in his administration.
The deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development, it's a black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief operations officer is a black man.
Johnson's remarks on Sunday sparked backlash online from people calling for an investigation. Now the mayor's received a letter from the DOJ saying that there is, quote, reasonable cause to believe that he has made hiring decisions solely on the basis of race, possibly violating the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Vice President J.D. Vance is giving Pope Leo a gift that's near and dear to his heart. The VP met with the Pope yesterday at the Vatican and presented him with the Chicago Bears jersey with the name Pope Leo XIV on the back. Vance also gave the Chicago native pontiff a letter from President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump inviting him to come to America. Tiffany Henyard is no longer an elected official in the South suburbs. State Senator Napoleon Harris was sworn in yesterday as Thornton Township Supervisor after ousting Henyard from the ticket last December. Henyard was replaced as mayor of Dalton by Jason House. Her time as supervisor and mayor was marred by controversy that included federal investigations. News is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off of any service, including inspections. Don't wait for a heat wave for that old air conditioner to break down. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher sees another swing at Trump.
Have you seen this Letitia James and her speeches? This woman is completely off her rocker. This is the scoundrel who campaigned on getting Trump, and now she's trying it again. Now she's ramping up another round of lawfare against Donald Trump. It's like she's not going to stop. These are some sick people.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Michaela's Mobile Spa, Michaela! Michaela got a quick business insurance quote from Progressive and chose from over 30 customizable coverages. Sure, it helps she's her only employee and does literally everything. But while others would rest on their laurels, Michaela was hard at work saving big. So take that, hypothetical other employee who doesn't exist. Be your own Michaela. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Hey, folks, I just can't help thinking of our stress levels. And high blood pressure is the #1 key risk factor for mortality. In fact, 1 in 2 Americans walking around have high blood pressure. That's a ticking time bomb. But thankfully, it's never been easier to take control of your blood pressure. With 120 Life, a truly remarkable natural juice blend that can actually help you lower your blood pressure without the side effects of taking pills every day. 120 Life is formulated with scientifically backed ingredients from superfruits, berries, and minerals that have been shown to naturally help control high blood pressure. And it works. It's endorsed by 600 health professionals. And I assure you, that's not fake news. I use it myself. I love it. You can try it for yourself risk-free with their 2-week trial. Just go to 120 Life and use the coupon code LIBERTY to save 15% and receive free shipping. If 120 Life doesn't help lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they give you your money back. It's guaranteed. Go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Go to 120life.com today.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 23 minutes. On the outbound side, 16 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn interchange, 37 minutes. Outbound about 37 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 38 minutes. An exit ramp closed due to a jackknife tractor trailer in the ditch. That's going to be the off-ramp northbound to Mannheim. It's going to be slow between Mannheim and Western Avenue. Traffic is a service of Low T Center. Guys, are you and your spouse looking to lose weight in time for summer? Head over to Synergex or Low T Center for prescription weight loss treatment options, including semaglutide. If you qualify for treatment, you can get a free B12 shot when you start. Offer limited. Book now at fixmylowt.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Periods of rain, thunderstorm, windy and cool today. The high 59. Rain and breezy tonight, low 52. Breezy, cool, rain and drizzle again tomorrow, the high 55. Passing shower Thursday morning, then mostly cloudy with the high 57. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, Russian dictator Vladimir Putin refusing to agree to an immediate ceasefire with Ukraine in a 2-hour call yesterday with President Trump, who said afterward that Moscow and Kyiv would resume direct talks on an agreement to halt the fighting. He also suggested that the Vatican may be willing to play host to said talks.
Pope Leo XIV to the rescue. He wanted some peace talks to take place there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if he can advance the flag of peace, so to speak, then sure. I mean, provide some moral clarity on the issue the way that John Paul II did. It's creative. For more on this and other geopolitical matters, Cliff May, president of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies and foreign affairs columnist for the Washington Times, joins us. Cliff, thanks for being with us. So,
good to be with you.
Your takeaways from the Trump-Putin call.
Putin has not made any concessions whatsoever. He hasn't agreed to Trump's request, demand, call what you will, for an immediate ceasefire so that negotiations can take place. President Trump has continued to threaten to put serious pressure on Putin, but he hasn't. If he threatened it in the phone call, we don't know about it. And as for the Pope getting involved, I'll remind you of a very old story. It said that when the Soviets went in and
yes.
Eastern, you know what I'm going to say?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Took over Eastern Europe. Stalin was told that the Pope was very opposed to what he was doing in countries like Poland, making them into satellites. And Stalin said, the Pope, how many divisions does he have?
Right.
And by the way, and this may be just to put the hammer at the emphasis, Putin thinks no differently. He doesn't think, the Pope says, I care about that. Not for a minute. Anybody who thinks that doesn't understand that understands nothing about Vladimir Putin.
So, understanding Putin, then, the Putin whisperer here, Cliff May, then is he willing to do anything, do you think, or is he just trying to slow play this, wait until Trump directs his attention elsewhere and march on to Kyiv?
Yes, I think we know that he is preparing a new offensive. I think he feels that if it's possible for Trump to just walk away from the problem, and if that means not continuing to sell munitions to the Ukrainians, well, why would he? I mean, why would he want a ceasefire? Why would he want an end to the war? It only makes it easier for him to do what he wants to do and has wanted to do all along, very clear, conquer Ukraine and make the people of Ukraine kiss his ring. He, as the new czar in the Kremlin, must give up their system of political parties, their free press, their independence, their sovereignty.
Yeah, but it's a little bit
all of the above.
It's a little bit more complicated than that now, isn't it? Because of the mineral rights deal that we struck with Ukraine. I mean, now we have some tethering economically that we ostensibly would want to protect.
I would hope so, but how are we going to protect it if we should? I'm not saying we're going to, but if we should entirely abandon Ukraine at that point, Putin will say, "Listen, when I take these territories, you can do a deal with me over mineral rights. What's your problem? What are you? How are you going? Do you think you're going to defend your mineral rights if you're not even sending Patriot missiles to Ukraine? The Patriot missiles are defensive use to stop the bombing, the missiling, the droning of residential neighborhoods. And there were more than 300 drones hit parts of Ukraine over the last few days. So I don't see how that helps in that case. It was a good gesture. I think there's no question Zelensky thought great. We will have economic relations. People like J.D. Vance suggested that was the case. I think I thought that was a worthwhile thing to do. But if Ukraine is abandoned, like our friends in Afghanistan were abandoned, like the Kurds have on occasion been abandoned, like the people of Hong Kong have been abandoned, like the people of Taiwan could be abandoned. Then it doesn't matter that there's some mineral deal on paper.
Well, then does it suggest that there is, short of entering the fray formally, there's not much that can be done to dissuade Putin? In other words, I mean, if we did provide Patriot missiles, or then does that materially change Putin's calculus?
It's actually quite simple. President Trump has said what he could do. He has said correctly that he could devastate the economy of Russia. My think tank, FPD, has a long memo exactly how that would be done, the kinds of sanctions that would be necessary. As it is right now, the price of oil and gas is not very high. It's not as high as he needs. The Russian economy is not in very good shape. Trump has correctly assessed. Strong sanctions and pressure on Putin economically, plus the continuation of supplying the necessary munitions to Ukraine. We don't have to pay for them. The Europeans can pay for them. The mineral rights can pay for them. $300 billion frozen Russian assets in Europe can pay for them. All these things can pay for them. We just need to sell the Patriot missiles and also, I would argue, among other things, ATACMS, which are a wonderful American missile system. And unlike Biden, Trump should say these can be used against military targets in Russia, not just against Russian targets already in Ukraine. They're long-range missile, they can do it. At that point, Putin is going to say, I think he has to say, okay, let's have a ceasefire. And after all, under a ceasefire, everyone expects we will get to keep, maybe not under law, but keep 18% of Ukrainian territory he currently occupies. He can count that as an achievement. By the way, he needs to be pressured to do it because the ultra-nationalists in the country will not want to say, he doesn't want them to say, why did you give in? Trump was not putting any pressure on you. What was the problem? He has to say to them, look, the pressure is too much. We can't afford this economically. We can't afford it in other ways. We'll have to have a ceasefire. We'll figure out later how to take the rest of Ukraine. Maybe we have to wait till Trump's out of office and we get somebody more like somebody softer.
Well, with the imposition of those sanctions, oil and gas sanctions, theoretically, can we ensure that the Western Europeans don't cheat like they apparently have been? Or, I mean, I guess they're not technically sanctions, but I mean, they're taking. We understand they're taking shipments of oil and gas, with sort of
about 19% of
black
the
market.
It's not just black market. You're right. They haven't had enough oil and gas. It really helps that the U.S. is now exporting liquefied natural gas. That the U.S. is now utilizing its energy resources, and that there's a committee to make America dominant in terms of energy. The Europeans are, if anything, more hawkish right now than President Trump is. So, yes, the Europeans absolutely 100% need to be part of this. And I'm going to tell you, I think it's very clear they will. And yes, you can ensure that they're not cheating. There's all kinds of penalties. But for the most part, the Europeans are afraid that Trump is going to abandon Ukraine and abandon them in this war, the worst war in Europe since 1945. And yes, one of the things to do is the Europeans have to say no more gas or oil from Russia until there is a ceasefire. They have to do that. They can be. I don't think it takes a lot of arm twisting for that.
Well, speaking of a ceasefire, if there is a meeting at the Vatican with Pope Leo XIV, do you think Putin would show up?
That's a good question. I'm not sure that he would. He said he was going to show up, after all, in Turkey, and he didn't. I think he sent his culture minister. He's not serious about it. His demands are maximalist, which means he wants the surrender of Ukraine. He wants Ukraine to be what Chechnya is, a colony of Russia, or what Belarus is, a vassal state of Russia. Georgia has 2 provinces that were taken away from it in 2008. So we know what he wants. Without pressure, he doesn't back off from what he wants, because what he wants is not peace. He wants victory. He has lost. Trump is right. He has lost and is losing an enormous number of soldiers, and he thinks that's a sacrifice well worth making for the restoration of the Russian/Soviet empire.
What was your reaction to Trump's remarks in Saudi Arabia last week, specifically where he talked derisively about the nation builders and the neocons who got America extricated in other people's affairs, and better to leave the Arab world's affairs to the Arab world, and we'll focus on our own affairs, essentially. I mean, it was basically a restatement of America First, the America First philosophy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's talking about nation building in this case. I don't think anybody's talking about nation building in regard to Taiwan or in regard to Iran's terminationist ambitions vis-a-vis Israel, or North Korea's ambitions in terms of taking over South Korea. None of that constitutes nation building. We're not very good at nation building, but where nations are building themselves, look, I don't think you can plant democracy in arid soil. I do think you can support existing democracy. And the Ukrainians are an existing democracy. I mentioned this to you as before. I was there as an official election observer for their last elections. They had political parties and press. They were very, very proud of the fact that they were following election procedures to the letter. They don't want to give all that up. They're a fledgling democracy. South Korea was not such a fledgling democracy when we saved it from North Korea. As I've mentioned in the past, the Korean War never ended in a path to peace. It ended in a truce, an armistice, a frozen conflict. This can end the same way, but there has to be two things. But two things have to happen. Pressure threatened by Trump has to come to pass. If Putin thinks he's bluffing, and he may think that now, he'll say, I'm going to call his bluff. But I got to tell you, if Putin calls his bluff, others will call his bluff too. And I'm thinking particularly Xi Jinping, who, again, wants to subjugate the Taiwanese. And I'm thinking of the Iranians. Trump has said very clearly that this regime, this jihadist regime, will not get nuclear weapon capability under his watch. The negotiations there can lead to the right result, but only if the Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, thinks that America not only has the muscle to destroy their nuclear weapons program, but also is willing to use it if the result that Trump wants can't come about through negotiations.
Talking about the big guy, former President Biden, given the Robert Don't Call Me Ben-Hur tape that came out on Friday, then the prostate cancer revelation, which clearly had been known for many moons, according to, I don't know, every urologist in America. And thinking about it from the national security team, the military perspective, we talked a bit about this with Stephen Bucci from Heritage yesterday. I thinking specifically about Milley and Austin and Blinken and the NSAs, the Susan Rices of the world that were part of the national security team. They knew or had to know something. So, how would you describe the conduct of participating in a cover-up as to the president's lack of capacity to make national security decisions? How would you describe that behavior?
I don't know, shameful,
criminal,
disgraceful,
criminal, treasonous. Does it rise to that level?
I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if it's criminal, but it was a huge deception and kind of frightening, at least in retrospect. We don't really know who was running the country for quite a bit of time there, I would say. And yes, the public had a right to know. I would think that his doctor had an obligation to inform the public. It's a scandal, isn't it?
Do you think it's important that there be some sort of testimony that is subpoenaed, if necessary, from these parties that we're mentioning specifically and generally, to offer some sort of response to what we now know to be true and what they were party to in some material way?
I honestly don't know. From a national security perspective, I'm not sure that's necessary. I'm not opposed to it. But I think we all, at this point, we know what's going on. I also have to go add this as somebody who spent half his life in the news business. I just think this is a stain on a great deal of the media.
Yep.
Because reporters had to see what was going on, and if they did, they turned a blind eye, and they didn't tell their readers and their audiences what was right under their noses. And I probably, like you, went into the news business because I wanted to see the truth and tell the truth. And I spent a lot of time, as you know, I was a reporter, foreign correspondent, editor of the New York Times, among other places. In the days when the New York Times was a much better paper than it is now, it was just sort of an unspoken conspiracy by a lot of the press, I guess. It was a herd mentality, and telling the truth in that news from when you walked out of the White House just wasn't allowed if you wanted to have beers with your colleagues that evening.
Cliff May, president of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies and foreign affairs columnist for the Washington Times. Cliff, thanks as always.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets. Any size and any color, just $49.98. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings, and cow kings. Any size and any color, just $49.98. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. Call 800-489-0201. Use promo code LIBERTY or go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code LIBERTY for the amazing offer of $49.98 on the Giza Dreams sheets, any size and any color. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Guys, spring is here. Time for gatherings with friends, family, and outdoor activities. But how are you going to keep up if low testosterone is draining your energy? The answer? TRT with Synergen X and Low T Center. They might seem convenient, but many online TRT services can be a hassle to get started. You end up spending hundreds of dollars and wasting time, so don't fall for it. Trust the experts at Synergen X and Low T Center, who I trust. They've been changing patients' lives for combined 25 years, that is. They understand what guys need. They're in person, and they make it easy to get started. So start today with a free consultation and free testosterone test. Best thing about it, it's free and fast. They have on-site labs to process your test quickly, and if you qualify, you can start treatment that day. They have locations across Chicagoland as well, and for guys looking to lose a few pounds, Synergen X and Low T Center make it easy with prescription weight loss medications. They do accept most major insurance, so you have no excuse. The offer is limited, so go right now to fixmylowt.com to book your appointment. That's fixmylowt.com. You'll be glad you did.
You deserve a dedicated financial resource. Meet Michelle Ashute with West Point Financial Group, a Mass Mutual firm. Michelle builds lifelong relationships, guiding families through legacy strategies. From grandparents down to grandkids, she helps people secure their financial independence. Her tailored approach to savings can help you prepare for college, retirement, or business protection. Michelle's needs-based approach helps you prepare for all of life's biggest moments. Michelle Ashute of West Point Financial Group, helping you earn, learn, and secure your tomorrow. Email Michelle at mshoot@financialguide.com. That's MSCHOOT @financialguide.com. Local firms or sales offices of Massachusetts Mutual Life Insurance Company. Mass Mutual, Springfield, Massachusetts 01111-001, and are not subsidiaries of Mass Mutual or its affiliated companies. Michelle Ashute is a registered representative of and offers securities through MML Investor Services, LLC, member SIPC. Supervisory office located at 30 South Wacker Drive, Suite 2700, Chicago, Illinois, 60606.
You heard the news. Newsmax just went public on the New York Stock Exchange and listed on the big board. Millions of Americans like you are joining our news revolution. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top 12 news brands in America. Even President Trump says it's terrific. 40 million Americans go to Newsmax, and its audience grew 50% since the same time last year. Millions really are making the switch to Newsmax. If you want to be a Newsmax share owner, call your advisor or get more info at newsmaxinvest.com. Stand with Newsmax today for a strong America. This communication is for informational purposes only and shall not be intended to or shall not constitute any offer to buy or sell securities, nor shall there be any sale of securities in any jurisdiction in which such offer, solicitation, or sale would be unlawful.
AM 560, The Answer.
From February of last year, Joe Biden's annual physical exam revealed no signs of trouble, according to his doctor. No new concerns. The president went to Walter Reed, February of last year, for his physical. Kevin O'Connor, Dr. Kevin O'Connor. Oh, doctor.
Everybody knows Dr. Kevin O'Connor now. He's not going to be my doctor.
He continues to be fit for duty and fully executes all of his responsibilities without any exceptions or accommodations.
Lies.
Biden is currently undergoing treatment for multiple stable medical conditions that include non-valvular atrial fibrillation, hypolipidemia, gastroesophageal reflux, seasonal allergy, sensory peripheral neuropathy of both feet, and his gait, which remains stiff but has not worsened in recent years. The only new condition reported last year since the previous year's exam
is
obstructive sleep apnea. But that's stable and has been alleviated via CPAP machine. Lab work, which entailed a comprehensive metabolic panel, complete blood count, level checks of vitamin D, and so on and so forth. That's all normal.
Any mention about PSA?
Colonoscopy, routine, no problems.
Yeah, nothing to see here, huh?
February of 23, Dr. O'Connor called Biden a healthy and vigorous 80-year-old and basically gave him a clean bill of health in February of last year as well. So, just to the point of getting to the bottom of these things, I certainly would think that you'd want to whistle Dr. Kevin O'Connor, in front of a congressional committee to get more details on this and an understanding of who made the decision, if such a decision was made, not to disclose his prostate cancer publicly.
Is there a chance that they didn't even disclose it to him, Joe Biden? Like, didn't let him know, hey, you have prostate cancer early form? I mean, they might have.
Anything's possible, which is perhaps why a congressional hearing is warranted. Coming up at 7:37, we turn our attention to all things Illinois policy related with Ted Dabrowski, wirepoints.org.
But now let's head back into that newsroom and get the headlines.
Good morning. It's 49 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560. The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. It's getting more expensive to buy a home in the U.S.
The average interest rate for a 30-year mortgage moved above 7% on Monday before dropping back down slightly. It comes after Moody's downgraded the U.S. credit rating last week because of the government's growing debt. Mortgage rates have remained near their 25-year peak. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Vice President J.D. Vance is giving Pope Leo a gift that is near and dear to his heart.
The VP met with the Pope at the Vatican and presented him with a Chicago Bears jersey with the name Pope Leo XIV on the back.
So this, of course, is a Chicago Bears jersey with your name.
Vance also gave the Chicago native a letter from President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump inviting him to the White House. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Dilbert creator Scott Adams says he's battling advanced prostate cancer and believes he may not live past the summer. Adams shared the news during a live stream Monday, describing his daily struggle as a nightmare. He said he has the same type of cancer recently diagnosed to former President Biden. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in about 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt watches the president playing chess.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles. All right. Okay?
We'll take a look.
It's you do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at
Why
that,
don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested.
I told you that was a great cut.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. Front and center in the Wall Street Journal was an article titled America's College Towns Go From Boom to Bust. To highlight the bust, attributed to declining enrollment, a decline long projected, and the impact of such decline, the Wall Street Journal featured Western Illinois University and the town of Macomb. The article noted the empty dorms and frat houses and resulting loss of business, as Western Illinois has lost nearly half its student population over the last 14 years. The writers also noted the poor maintenance of the grounds and that layoffs and attrition have shrunk campus employment by 38% in the past 11 years. Then the authors had the audacity to mention the 2-year budget stalemate, a power move by Mike Madigan to hobble Rauner and get weak Republicans to vote for a tax increase, was part of the problem. That rings hollow, considering enrollment at the University of Illinois is up 36% in that same time frame. Not mentioned is that Western Illinois University and its siblings EIU and SIUE have the highest tuition and fees in their conference, with the exception of one private institution. Also not mentioned is that Illinois is number one by a long shot in state support to higher education at nearly $23,000 per full-time equivalent student, roughly twice the U.S. average. So lack of state funding is not the issue. The truth is, Illinois universities have not been cost conscious for a long time, have ignored the trend of fewer children being born and matriculating to college, necessitating consolidation, and that better and more affordable options are available outside the state. Also noted in the story is the one bright spot on campus, a $100 million plus performing arts center being built with state funds. Now you know the rest of the story. I'm Jeannie Ives. Join me on The Real Story, Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Give your liver the support it needs with Active Liver. Go to newnordicusa.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 18 minutes. Outbound, 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 28 minutes. Outbound, 38 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 36 minutes. Outbound, 23 minutes. This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Don't postpone better sleep. Shop Mattress Firm's Memorial Day sale now. Upgrade to a premium bed from a curated selection and take your rest to the next level. Don't miss out. Visit Mattress Firm today. Get matched. Sleep at night. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a quick check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Periods of rain, thunderstorm, windy day. High today 59. Rain and breezy tonight, low 52. Rain, drizzle, breezy and cool for tomorrow. The high at 55. A shower and passing on Thursday morning. Otherwise a cloudy day. The high 57. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House law for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for a weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, President of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. BLM Brandon has put Chicago in the national news again because at a confab at a Southside church over the weekend, he's working on marketing the regime's successes. And what he is doing for black residents of Chicago is a lot.
Yeah.
And the reason he's doing a lot for black residents of Chicago is because they're special people.
Well, they're generous.
Do we have that clip?
The mayor talks about is the hiring of black people. No, what I'm saying is when you hire our people, we always look out for everybody else. We are the most generous people on the planet. I don't know too many cultures that have play cousins. That's how generous we are. We just make somebody a family member, right? That's just how we are. And so business and economic neighborhood development, the deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman.
Yeah, and so on and so forth. But it was more, to talking about all the black men and women that are in positions of importance in the administration. Well, that's all well and good. It was more this idea that somehow black residents are just sort of a special people.
Aren't we all special in God's minds? We have play cousins too, and fake aunts. Our mom's best friends are our aunts.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, are black men in prison for violent crime? Are they generous, Mayor, Mr. Mayor? I mean, just it's just so ham-handed, his identitarianism, which is why he's drawn the attention of the Department of Justice, Harmeet Dillon, and the Office of Civil Rights, sending a missive to City Hall saying, yeah, you're talking about basically hiring based on race, handing out contracts based on race. That's a violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, so we need to chat. And, of course, BLM Brandon denies that. It's just imprecise rhetoric, I'm sure. That's what you chalk it up to. Again, that's what we've done in the city of Chicago. Tribalism as long as I've been alive, and a lot longer than that. So I don't, I'm not offended by it. I'm certainly not surprised by it. I mean, I'm offended by it like I'm offended by any of this tribalism, but I'm not uniquely offended by Brandon Johnson's version of it because it's just a different cohort that's being served at the expense of other cohorts, just like the Irish did, as far as I'm concerned. But, maybe because people are seemingly more upset about his version of tribalism than other past versions of tribalism, maybe at some point we can have a conversation about tribalism generally and, the patronage that it begets. Because, this just in, it's never exactly been a meritocracy in Chicago or Illinois. So let's not delude ourselves either and comfort ourselves by piling on Brandon Johnson like it was, or Lori Lightfoot, like it was all on the level before these two knuckleheads came along. Hardly, was it? Ted Dabrowski joins us now. Thanks, Ted.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Amy. You make a great point, Dan. Yeah, I mean it's we're all complaining about what he's done, but it's been some form of take care of your own for a long time. I think what's interesting about this one, though, and here's what's different. I'm not sure Daley would ever say anything like that out loud.
Exactly.
This guy is just willing to say whatever the hell he wants, whenever he wants, and it's so extreme. It's so extreme, and you listen to it and you go, "Is he really saying that out loud?"
Right.
And that's just, and then what's amazing is how quickly the federal government acted on that. I thought it was a meme or something when I saw that response from the federal government, but
Really?
They acted quickly.
Well, they're looking to tee up these sanctuary cities, these big cities, and if Chicago residents, more of them, or a little bit more enlightened, they might actually appreciate that the federal government cares more about their cities than they do, because their cities, like Chicago, disintegrating right before their very eyes, and the federal government, Trump, his people, trying to step in and say, you can't do this. You're destroying your city. You're destroying the quality of life for the law-abiding residents. They're actually trying to help, but Chicago just refuses the assistance.
Well, this is the hard part too, because I always argue. I want Chicago to fix itself. It's the Chicago voters who vote for whatever they get.
Yeah.
We can't say, hey, Trump, please come help us. Please save us. So what I did right, when Johnson took office, or when he won the election, I should say, I wrote a piece that said, what has Chicago done? And the one thing that I think is curious, and we're going to see where this goes, is I said the silver lining in all this, and it's turning out to be true, is that a few years under Johnson, quote, a few years under Johnson may finally push the center left in Chicago to finally give a reformer the support of 50% plus one. Let's see if this stuff starts to matter, because it's so extreme and so perverse what he says that you've got to think that there's a chance for somebody to take over. The question will just be who and what.
Yeah, well, Ted, in his defense, Mayor Johnson fired off a colored pie chart that says it illustrated his diverse hirings, saying, 34% are black, 24% Hispanic, 30% are white, and the rest are Asian or other. And he used that time to slam Trump, saying his administration doesn't reflect such diversity.
Yeah, he'll be good at it. I think the question is going to be just, how many of those hires were already there? I think it's going to be a question of how many hires, those direct reports that he has. What's been the process for hiring people?
Yeah, the process is the point. I mean, that's the basis of it. It doesn't even all this like counting by. The whole thing is counting by race is idiotic. That's the whole thing about it. That's what we should be arguing here, rather than arguing about was that black person for this job favored over a honky or Latino just because they're black? Just stop with all of it. I mean, that's the whole point. That's the anti-DEI philosophy. Just stop with all of it, and do it like the CSO hires musicians. But we're a long way from there. But maybe not the conversation. The problem is, as I've been saying, is that what you're going to get is somebody that does the middle way, that goes back to the daily or tiny dancer approach, which is where you tell the beautiful lies that people expect to hear. You don't put it between their eyes in a way that makes it uncomfortable, such that people have to deal with it. This is what Lightfoot did, made a mistake. This is what Brandon Johnson is doing, is making a mistake. It's not that the underlying policies are necessarily unpopular. That's the problem. It's just that the way they're talking about them strips away the veneer that people use to rationalize their participation in barbarism in the city.
Well, I mean, that goes to a little bit of the wire point's obsession with data. Let the data tell the story, because we get all the lies all the time from politicians. I don't care what side they're on, what color they are. It's just continuous, especially in Illinois. And so the one thing that tries not to lie is some of the data. And when you look at the data, and we talked about it the other day. When Brandon Johnson can say all he wants about how he's preferencing the blacks, and you've had blacks run Chicago, a big chunk of it, Lori Lightfoot and Preckwinkle and others. But when you look at the underlying data for blacks itself, it is the most sad, horrible outcomes for blacks compared to other big cities. It's just massive failure inside and out, and so. He can say whatever the hell he wants, but the data shows that he's not helpful for his own people.
Getting outside Chicago, we spent so much time talking about Chicago. We should take judicial notice that all of the metropolitan areas are decaying. Let's give everybody their due. You just looked at metro areas in Chicago, and actually, in economic growth, the Bloomington metro area. The worst economic growth in the nation since 2019?
Yeah, this stuff just keeps on giving. We're always. I met an owner of a big business, and he was telling me that he just refuses to invest any more money in Illinois. He's not leaving, but he said all of his expansions are occurring in the South and in the Midwest. And I saw a map on his wall, and I saw where all the dots of all the expansions are going, and nothing in Illinois. And it triggered me to look at just how all these different metro areas are doing, because the government reports on this, federal government. There's 384 metro areas in the country, and Bloomington was dead last at 384, shrinking down 17%. And we did this over the time period that Governor Pritzker's taken office since 2019. So it's an indictment of what's happening that continues to happen under him. Rockford was pretty close to the bottom as well, and so was Danville, and so was Peoria. I mean, these are our cities, our old manufacturing, successful, middle class, working class cities being destroyed.
Well, I mean, Chicago, Naperville, Elgin, which you would think would be it obviously is the wealthiest metro of the state. But in terms of growth from 2019 to 2023, 268 out of 384. That's not exactly killing it. But I mean, negative growth, as you said, in Bloomington, negative growth in Rockford, anemic growth, well below the compounded inflation rate over the last 4 years in Danville, Peoria, Carbondale, Marion, Springfield, Chicago, Naperville, Elgin, probably Decatur too, and then the top two are Champaign-Urbana metro area and Kankakee. 163 and 91 respectively. But I mean, this just in, Champaign-Urbana and Kankakee aren't going to be able to carry this state.
No, that's for sure. And in Chicago, our economic engine, when you talk about this is adjusted for inflation. So over the last 5 years, it's only had a growth of 4% total. So maybe 1% a year. So
that is adjusted for inflation. Those numbers. Okay.
Yes, adjusted for inflation. Yeah, and so it's for Chicago, the metro area, it's the worst of the 15 largest metro areas in the country. So you got a place like Phoenix growing 5 times the amount, Miami 4 times, and so you're just talking about success and thriving economies and people making more money and having more jobs. And you compare that to our struggling metro areas, it's ripe for massive reform and massive change, and it's depressing, but the opportunity is there to pick it up.
I also saw this post about school choice. We talked a little bit about that earlier in the program when we were celebrating the re-election of Stacey Davis Gates as CTU president.
Excellent.
Yeah. The school choice, not in Illinois, of course not, but maybe coming to Illinois sort of like full gun rights did because of federal action.
Yeah, so there's a big wave of school choice across the country in red states, and it's a really big wave. And you're seeing it, in Iowa, in Indiana, full school choice. Anybody who wants access can get it, but not in Illinois, not in California, not in New York, and a few other blue states. And so Trump and team are saying, hey, if they don't want to do it, let's just do it at the federal level. And they want to offer a $5 billion. So this is a national program, $5 billion tax credit scholarship program that would be doled out to all the different states, and that would immediately give Illinois school choice, maybe for some 50,000 students, maybe more. And it would be a way to kickstart school choice. If the Illinois legislators won't pass it, then the federal government will. Yeah, well, that would be nice. So as you said, you hope and you would wish that Chicago would solve its own problems, Illinois would solve its own problems, the two collectively. But sometimes you need outside assistance, whether it's wanted or not. It certainly would be wanted by some of the residents of Illinois who are trapped here. And we'll keep an eye on that. Ted Dabrowski, President of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted. Have a good day.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
Are you growing your manufacturing team this year and need new employees? Turn to Monarch Technical Services in Rolling Meadows. They've been leading the Chicago staffing industry for manufacturing and engineering since 1987. You'll appreciate their vetting process, payment terms, and dedication towards excellence. They meet every candidate in person to interview and test for specific skills. Monarch assesses experience by using blueprint, shop math, part measurement, and CNC program exams. Monarch Technical offers unique payment terms. You now have 6 months to pay the finder's fee, and if for any reason the candidate leaves your employment, the fee ends. This allows you to make sure direct hire employees are fitting in before fees are paid in full. So if you're growing your manufacturing team this year and searching for exceptional talent and attractive payment terms, contact Monarch Technical Services at 847-342-1221 or visit them online at monarchtechnical.com. That's monarchtechnical.com. Continuing the privilege of enriching manufacturing for 38 years.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Come hungry to Scott Tucker Solutions Night at Portillo's, benefiting the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. Join us Thursday, May 22nd from 5 to 8 p.m. at Portillo's in Niles at 8832 West Dempster Street and use the cashier code Portillo's20. The night's bill is on Scott Tucker, and you eating free Portillo's helps support the families of fallen and disabled Chicago police officers and their families via the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. Enjoy your favorites, hot dogs, Italian beef, and chocolate cake. Scott Tucker is picking up the check, and Portillo's is donating 20% of gross sales to the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. So bring your appetite to Scott Tucker Solutions Night at Portillo's. It's Thursday, May 22nd from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Portillo's in Niles at 8830 132 West Dempster Street. And make sure to use the cashier code Portillo's20. Eat well and come out and run up Scott Tucker's bill and support the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. We'll see you there. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560. The Answer.
Interesting interview with podcaster Tim Dillon, popular podcaster, comedian. CNN looking for more blame shifting opportunities. It was podcasters that cost Kamala the White House.
Oh, really?
You're the new establishment.
But this was a very specific circumstance in which Kamala Harris ran for the presidency. Yeah. She was somewhat unpopular, and she was not a star in Democratic politics before this at all. And her communication strategy was pretty weak. I think most people have admitted that. So to hang this defeat all on a few podcasts and to say that they were the problem, I just don't buy the narrative. So I don't think I'm a new establishment. If you weigh, again, a few comedians with podcasts versus all of the people that supported Kamala Harris, Democrat donors, billionaires, big people. If the idea is that me and a few comedians have more power than multi-billionaires, huge media institutions, a whole political party apparatus, I just don't think most people are going to buy that. I think it seems like a great way to excuse running an unpopular candidate on a platform that American people weren't sold on.
Yeah,
there's absolutely power in a massive audience. Great. But if you're saying that power is equal to the CIA or all of these other people that have been very critical of President Trump, right? Yeah. So the idea that the power that Theo Von has would be equal to the intelligence agencies or these massive legacy media institutions seems crazy.
Oh, my God.
I like the way that he said that. For great comedic timing from Tim Dillon. All right, coming up at 8:08, speaking of unintentional comedy, we'll return to Jim Comey, but in the context of Secret Service and is that agency been cleaned up under the new administration? Susan Crabtree, who's covered the Secret Service for 2 decades, RealClearPolitics.com's national political correspondent, joins us at 8:08.
Rain and thunderstorms throughout the day. Windy, cool, a high of 57 degrees. It is now 8 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
From the White House to the House. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 1 minute ago, President Trump arrived at the Capitol, where one Republican tells Fox it's tense here as the president tries to unite his party around what he calls one big, beautiful budget bill. If it doesn't pass,
people will get a 68% tax increase, the largest in history. And if we do get it, we're going to have the largest tax decrease in history.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz reports from the Capitol.
GOP members from states like New York, California, and New Jersey want to see an increase to the state and local tax deduction as part of President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill and the current proposal to raise the SALT cap from $10,000 to $30,000 isn't good enough. SALT critics say further increases to the cap will need to be paid for.
Republican spending cuts already in the bill to offset extending the 2017 Trump tax cuts have Democrats warning that Medicaid health coverage and food assistance will be taken away from some Americans in need. Later today, there will be a hearing in the House as Republicans focus on Democrats interfering with immigration and customs enforcement. Now, one Democrat, Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, is facing criminal charges over this encounter at an ICE detention facility in New Jersey earlier this month.
She's shoving and elbowing an ICE agent, according to prosecutors. The video released by DHS is just one of many pieces of evidence, I'm told, that interim U.S. Attorney Alita Habba tells Fox led to several felony charges of assaulting, impeding, or interfering with law enforcement.
That's Fox's Alexis McAdams in Newark. 6 escaped prisoners still on the run in Louisiana. They were among the 10 who broke out of a jail in New Orleans early Friday. A 4th fugitive captured last night.
All 4 inmates who have been caught were found within city limits. A source close to the investigation tells Fox News that authorities believe the other 6 are also still in New Orleans.
Fox's Nate Foy. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 49 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Mayor Johnson is sharing his vision for Chicago for the rest of his term. He wants to repopulate the west and south sides, create opportunities for entrepreneurial growth. He added he wants to build the most affordable and safest big city in America, but he needs the help of the residents. He also pointed out recent investments in housing and development projects across the city, as well as a decline in violent crime this year. The U.S. Department of Justice is launching an investigation into Mayor Johnson over allegations of race-based hiring. The probe follows comments the mayor made Sunday at a Southside church where he listed off black officials serving in his administration.
The deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief Operations Officer is a black man.
The mayor received a letter from the DOJ saying there is reasonable cause to believe that he's made hiring decisions solely based on race, possibly violating the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Johnson's remarks on Sunday sparked backlash online from people calling for an investigation. A consumer advocacy group is warning residents that ComEd's summer prices for electricity is set to go up June 1st. The Citizens Utility Board says a preliminary review of ComEd's tariffs filed Friday showed that the utility's summer supply rate would be about 10 cents per kilowatt hour. That rate is about a 45% increase over last June's price. The price will change again in October. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Home Depot shares are up more than 2.5%. Its sales and revenue were better than expected in the recent quarter. Its customers are still spending, though, on smaller projects. Home Depot standing by its forecast for the year, and it intends to generally maintain current pricing levels. Home Depot says about half its merchandise is sourced from the U.S. Bitcoin is trading over $105,000 this morning, and other cryptocurrencies are also rising after the Senate voted to advance a bill that would regulate some crypto investments. Footwear company Keen decided years ago to expand manufacturing in the U.S. Now it's paying off as tariffs impact other shoemakers. The Wall Street Journal says Keen plans to open a new factory next month in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Charlie Kirk is sure happy he's an American.
What I will not tolerate is whining, complaining, because all we have to do is look to the north, to our neighbor, to say, you know what? We have it pretty good here. We have it pretty awesome. We have a president and administration every day that is fighting for the American people, and they're getting things together, reconfiguring the U.S. government to represent our country.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
I'm a numerologist. What's your favorite number?
48. Because right now at Hasselus Mattress, you get 48 months interest-free financing on all Tempur-Pedic and Beautyrest Black mattresses.
The number 48 is associated with stability.
Like the stability and comfort of Tempur-Pedic.
Abundance.
Like the abundance of sleep you'll get with a Beautyrest Black mattress from Hasselus.
Prosperity and wealth.
Because you get a $300 MasterCard gift card with your purchase.
The number 48 is a sign that you have chosen the right path in life.
Just like choosing your favorite Tempur-Pedic or Beautyrest Black mattress at Hasselus without commission-hungry salespeople breathing down your neck.
Really?
Yes.
Do you deliver?
Free next-day delivery.
I think 48 may be my favorite number too.
Enjoy 48 months interest-free financing on Tempur-Pedic and Beautyrest Black at Hasselus Mattress. Find your employee-free Chicagoland showroom at Hasselus.com.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Michaela's Mobile Spa, Michaela! Michaela got a quick business insurance quote from Progressive and chose from over 30 customizable coverages. Sure, it helps she's her only employee and does literally everything. But while others would rest on their laurels, Michaela was hard at work saving big. So take that, hypothetical other employee who doesn't exist. Be your own Michaela. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 20 minutes, 31 minutes outbound. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn interchange, 55 minutes outbound, about 49 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office, exit ramp still closed due to a jackknife semi in the ditch. That's going to be on the off-ramp northbound to Mannheim Road. And on the outbound side, it's about 36 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 47 minutes. Outbound, about 38 minutes. Traffic is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now checking your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Periods of rain, thunderstorm, windy and cool today. The high 59. Rain and breezy tonight, low 52. Breezy, cool, rain and drizzle again tomorrow, the high 55. Passing shower Thursday morning, then mostly cloudy with the high 57. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, number one, number two at FBI, sat down with Maria Browder-Rome over the weekend. We talked about it a bit yesterday. Some real bad news for the conspiracy theorists among us. I hope David Kolsak's listening. Kash and Bongino said,
what?
Epstein? Suicide.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to get... I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Did the deep state get to Kash and Dan? But on a more important matter, I'm not so worried about the cause of death of Epstein anymore. I stipulate it's suicide. I'm more worried about the files. That's what I was interested in, where these files. So Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell had this international sex trafficking ring, and those are the only two that got arrested. They had no clients. How's that? That's the thing that's curious to me. With respect to assassinations, the 2 assassination attempts on President Trump last year, Maria Bartiromo expressing the frustration a lot of us feel. Maybe it's unfair, expecting too much too fast from people who have just secured these top posts in the FBI. But she was pressing them. Why don't we have more information about those assassination attempts?
But how come we don't have more information on the assassination attempts on President Trump?
There's 2 reasons. 2 open, ongoing prosecutions. So 2 of the investigations are obviously closed because the individuals are dead. But there's 2 live prosecutions. And so we can't get ahead of the federal court case. A lot of that information will come out in the federal court cases, but we have personally invested our time in making sure that we have looked at any possible international connections to terrorism and adversaries alike. And we've both been down to Quantico. We've both done the laboratory testing. We've both seen the explosives analysis. We've both seen the firearm and physically held it. We are all in on these investigations.
Are we going to be surprised at what you learned?
You know what, Maria? Cash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However, I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, and whether you like it or not is up to you. If there was a big explosive there, right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent and my personal friendship as a director does with the president, give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. If you can think of one, there isn't. There in some of these cases, the there you're looking for is not there. And I know people, I get it. I understand. It's not there.
Is the there? No, there is no there. Got it. Susan Crabtree is a RealClearPolitics.com national political correspondent and co-author of Fool's Gold, The Radicals, Con Artists, and Traitors Who Killed the California Dream and Now Threaten Us All. Susan, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It's great to be with you again. Thanks so much for having me.
So you've covered Secret Service for a long time. Were you satisfied with that response from Cash and Bongino to Bartiromo?
No, because they were talking about that Ryan Ruth, he's the Florida would-be shooter, would-be assassin on the golf course. That case is pending. Okay, so you can't talk about that case. But the Thomas Crooks case, he is deceased, and we still don't know a lot about him. Now, if you're saying that there's no there, then tell us why. What's in the content of those foreign encrypted applications that he used, and why did he have foreign encrypted applications? They should have had a press conference on that subject alone. If the guy is deceased and they can, there's no there, then tell me what was on his encrypted apps that were foreign. Because everybody knows about Signal now. That is a domestic application. Most people use that, journalists included, to communicate privately with other people. Well, you want the communications to be secure. But that is a domestic application. Why did he have foreign encrypted applications on his phone?
So on his phone, did he or did he not, and I might have heard this or read this incorrectly, 29 different contacts on that encrypted app?
Correct.
And who were those people? What entities?
Exactly. Also, so maybe they are going to provide that information. But the FBI, before Trump was elected, only had one briefing with reporters. and they were not calling on a lot of reporters like myself in that briefing, and it was very limited what we could ask. So I still want to know. We still don't know who his contacts were in school. We still don't know a lot about him. He was making bombs in his house. Why didn't his parents know about that? We haven't had any information about Thomas Crooks. We've had a ton of information about Ryan Ruth because it was in the public sphere. He was engaged. He was very engaged in social media. But Thomas Crooks had a Gab account, and that was discussed during a congressional hearing. And there was conversations about whether he talked about bad things about Donald Trump and Joe Biden and anti-immigration. So why don't we know a little bit more about that Gab account and all of the postings he put on it? I want to see a list of all the postings. I want to see documentary evidence. I just thought that was very cursory what they talked about, both Kash Patel, and they should have already had a press briefing, and not just the FBI. I blame Congress too. They are completely dropping the ball when it comes to Secret Service oversight. We know for a fact, I reported that Acting Director Ron Rowe, who said he was retiring in February, is still on the Secret Service payroll, listed as a senior advisor in the payroll system. And we don't know why he's still there, and they will not tell me. I mean, maybe he took a Doge payout. Maybe he's using up all of his retirement,
earned time,
pay and vacation pay. Just tell me. And I asked the members of Congress who are supposed to have oversight over this, and they said, we privately, they won't go on the record. Well, we asked him, and we don't have the answers for you. They wouldn't tell us. That is not sufficient.
And to your knowledge, I assume the Secret Service is concluded whatever investigation they did of the Butler, Pennsylvania shooter at this point, right? That's concluded. They're not still actively investigating what happened.
Well, they're not investigating the shooter. That's the FBI's job. They have a mission.
But the incident, right?
Yeah, they have their own mission assurance report, because what they did, they classified it.
Right.
So that regular members of Congress that are not on the Intelligence Committee can't get a hold of that. Even the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General's office cannot get a hold of it because it's classified.
Right. So,
did that on purpose.
We spoke shortly after the Butler assassination attempt. We spoke to the former Secret Service officer who was the point on the failed Hinckley assassination attempt against Reagan. And he talked about, here's what they should do. And I think he wrote an op-ed in the Journal about it too. You probably saw it. But, here's what we did. We got in there. We poured over all of Hinckley's possessions. We tried to understand what happened and put together sort of a plausible timeline, motivation, understanding of the events of that day and leading up to that day as we could, and get that into the public domain for consideration as quickly as possible, as responsibly, but as quickly as possible. So, if people wanted to poke holes in it, ask questions, maybe come up with something that we didn't think about, we hadn't contemplated, fine. But at least we were going to put something out there that was a cogent work product that was sort of the best understanding we had, given imperfect information, and then let's build on it from there so that you engage the public, you and inspire confidence that you have a government that is being responsive to you and on the level with you. And of course, now we've just done the opposite thing again.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wonder if this is just as the culture and it's only, 3.5, 4 months in, but this is just the culture and the inertia moving against any sort of transparency and responsiveness and accountability is more substantial than maybe even some in Trump world have understood to this point.
Yes, no, I think that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have only been on the job, and they have to get their daily briefings and they talked about that in the interview, that deal with immediate issues that they're facing every day. So I understand that they need to say, we are going to be having a press conference where all of this will unfold in front of you. We will discuss the Thomas Crooks profile. We will discuss what he was doing on his apps. That needs to be released. I don't know if there's some kind of liability they're worried about, but they need to address this. And it's just fueling more conspiracy theories not to do so. I apologize for my voice. I've had a cold for the last week.
Oh, it's all right.
But it's just, to me, I do have faith that they are going to provide more transparency than the last administration on this issue, but it hasn't happened yet, and they need to say, we have a timeline to do so, and Congress needs to step it up. There's Homeland Security committees that have oversight. They have had 0 oversight hearings on the Secret Service. Are we supposed to trust that the Secret Service is reformed from what we saw last year? Instantly reform when they're having recruiting problems and retention problems? And I'm hearing that agents are just headed for the exit doors en masse because they are so fed up with the low morale, and the workload has not changed because J.D. Vance is much more active, and there's a bigger Trump family than they had with even the Biden family. Mm-hmm. So their workload, they complain constantly, and there's agents that are just they're posting on Facebook what the problems are in the Secret Service. Meanwhile, we have Sean Curran, the new director, creating more, and DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, they're creating more and more of these recruiting videos, and they spent millions on the recruiting video at the Super Bowl that didn't even air during the Super Bowl. They recruited a Hollywood producer, a very well-known Hollywood producer, to make that for millions of dollars, and they have a huge recruiting problem. And they didn't even air it. That's what they're spending their money on. They're not announcing it in reforms. And a lot of the agents are extremely frustrated. There's actually, I'm going to be writing about it this week, a change.org petition calling on Sean Curran to announce reforms in the Secret Service, pressing him to do so or have him removed as well.
The other overture that Cash and Bongino made in that sit-down with Bartiromo was to more documents that will be released in the next week or two related to, I guess, the Russian collusion hoax. I mean, is that... I don't know. I was sort of underwhelmed. It felt like it was a bit of a misdirection play. You know, we can't really provide you the answers you want on these topics, but we've got this coming for you to look forward to. And I suspect that will just be more documentation of what we already know to be true that doesn't provide any avenue for any additional accountabilities, and will be left wanting after, you know, this latest trove of documents related to that episode are revealed.
Yeah. I am concerned about that too. They do need to just start laying out. It's a lot to learn. It's a huge learning curve when you get in there, and you have these briefings every morning about the immediate threats. And certainly, you don't want to take them off the eye off the ball. Of their main mission is counterterrorism, and they did talk about the bad guys that are involved in human trafficking and any kind of exploitation of children. And they were going to get a knock on the door, Dan Bongino said, and it's not going to be Amazon. I do feel like they're trying to stay on top of all of the keep our country safe while they deal with these other outstanding issues. So all I want to know is, where's the timeline that you are going to lay out, bring the transparency that you promised. Mm-hmm. All I need is, okay, so you're going to do this in next month, and then you're going to provide. They need to have some accountability there as well. People are concerned that Donald Trump is not safe. There's been no change in the Secret Service. People have been dying for transparency on the Russian hoax issue for years, and so I give them a little bit of some leeway to say, we are drinking from a fire hose here.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep the country safe. But yes, we do need to lay out a timeline for you so that we can address all of these concerns that the American people have had for years and certainly for months with the Trump assassination.
Well, the other problem they have that may be unanticipated is they have to keep track of a former FBI director who may pose a security threat too, apparently, when he, peruses the waterfront with his wife.
Those seashells.
Yeah, and I mean, that was pretty unbelievable for a former FBI director. And now it's inciting other people to post this. No, there's no excuse for him not knowing what 86 means. He writes crime novels. He's a former FBI director, and he writes crime novels. I don't know. I think that this was pretty egregious. I'm not sure if it was. His book is coming out on May 20th. His next fiction novel, crime novel.
It's today.
I'm sure it had something to do. That's today,
Yeah.
and I'm sure it had something to do with publicity for that. I have my own book out. We're all being pressured by the publisher constantly to do more publicity. So,
Well, why don't you go put some shells together on the sand, Susan?
Yeah, why don't you go
Come on,
why-
find some artistic things, clever shells found on the sand.
Yeah, you just have to,
Girlfriend,
just go threaten the life of a public figure, and that'll get you some attention.
I mean, this just shows me that
Hey.
there's a judgment problem, that he's had a judgment problem for years. I knew it when he first came out, and because I've been working on launching FBI investigations for members of Congress and political figures. That's what I did for a living. I was an ethics reporter for the Hill newspaper for many years. And we knew that the FBI could not discuss anything about an FBI investigation about 3 to 6 months before an election and 3 to 6 months afterward. That was always the norm. And then he discussed openly and had a press conference about the Hillary Clinton issue, which the Republicans like, and then he flip-flopped the other way when he didn't prosecute it. So it's just he showed poor judgment many times in his life. He was part of that very dramatic moment when he went to Attorney General Ashcroft's side, and when Ashcroft was under George Bush as Attorney General, he was suffering afterward from a gallbladder surgery, and he came to him and said, "You must do something right now about this domestic surveillance law that needs to be re-upped. We cannot be living in this situation." And he and Alberto Gonzalez, that was a moment. I mean, they could have waited a few weeks. It just showed to me that he has been a figure that has constantly shown poor judgment over many instances in his life. And it's just one thing that I just couldn't, that's just one example of many that comes to mind.
Poor judgment that is always in the direction of exposing him to the larger public. I mean, it seems to me he was always looking for ways to build his public profile and associated status. That's what it seems to be. Those poor judgments are always in that direction. Susan Crabtree is the RealClearPolitics.com national political correspondent. She's also the co-author of Fool's Gold, The Radicals, Con Artists, and Traitors Who Killed the California Dream and Now Threaten Us All. Fool's Gold is the book. Susan Crabtree is the author. Susan, thanks as always.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Are you an administrator, staff member, or parent volunteer at a private school? Would you like to grow your current enrollment and welcome new families to your school? If so, we want to tell you about a great opportunity to help increase enrollment and promote your school to families all across Chicagoland. It's called ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. They work to connect private schools with new families who are looking for discounted first-year tuition. In exchange, your school will receive a marketing campaign to help grow your enrollment. Chicagoland School Vouchers does all the work to bring new families together with your school and help you expand your reach. They've been working with schools across Chicagoland for over a decade as the demand for school choice grows here in Illinois. Your private school needs to take advantage of this program. To learn more, just visit ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. That's ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com.
Dad, I picked up your pills, made your lunch, and your laundry is done.
When you care for a loved one, you take care of everything. But are you taking care of yourself? Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer. Can't wait.
8:38, CNN contributor Scott Jennings, one-man gang in those panel discussions. He's got a new book, A Revolution of Common Sense. Scott Jennings at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom and get the headlines.
Good morning. It's 49 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump says direct peace talks between Russia and Ukraine are the next steps after a Monday phone call with Russian leader Vladimir Putin.
He said the tone and the spirit of the conversation were excellent, and he said negotiations between Russia and Ukraine will begin immediately. But it's not clear exactly when or where that will happen, although he did suggest that the Vatican had stated that it would be interested in hosting negotiations. Although it's not said, two things are clear from this call: that President Putin did not agree to Ukraine's suggestion of a 30-day unconditional truce, and President Trump received enough reassurance from President Putin that the Russian leader was serious about peace, at a time when the White House has said that Donald Trump has grown both weary and frustrated with how the push for peace so far has gone. I'm Nick Harper in Washington.
The FBI is sending a task force to Tennessee after Director Kash Patel called Memphis the homicide capital of America. That's following a string of deadly shootings over the weekend that left 3 people dead in less than 4 hours. News is a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Charlie Kirk, here's the chatter.
There might be dips and there might be little speed bumps and there might be corrections, but there is a even private agreement amongst people who hate President Donald Trump. They believe that this long-term economic realignment will work. And finally, we have a president that is rejecting to indulge and engage in immediate gratification.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer. It's almost time once again for the annual AM 560 golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. And this year, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing campaign, which includes 25 one-minute commercials to air on AM 560 Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m., and a free digital marketing analysis. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Trump International Hotel and Tower Chicago, Suburban Welding and Steel, and by Monarch Technical Recruiting Services.
Are you planning to remodel your kitchen, bathroom, basement, or whole home? Explore why homeowners call Forever Remodeling the remodeling machine. With over 2,000 completed projects, our expert designers, project managers, and installers work together like clockwork, delivering stunning results on time and on budget. From creative design to detailed installation, we build beautiful, functional spaces without the stress. Call Forever Remodeling today at 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your free in-home design consultation.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gary Sinise. Please join me and the Lieutenant Dan Band as we return to Cantini Park in Wheaton, Illinois. We will be rocking for our vets on July 12th for the West Suburban Foundation Concert for Charity, saluting our veterans and supporting your veteran community. We're looking forward to seeing everyone again. It's been a long time since we've been at Cantini Park. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to rocking for our vets together.
Get your tickets today at 560theanswer.com/vets.
Hi, Amy Jacobson here. With the crime we're seeing in Illinois, I know how important it is to keep my home and my family safe. That's why I chose Goldilocks for my home security. One of their awesome technicians just came over and gave me a free assessment of my home. They found vulnerabilities that intruders typically look for and created a personalized plan for me. Goldilocks offers state-of-the-art smart home security systems with HD cameras, motion detectors, smart locks, mobile notifications. As you know, crime in Illinois is out of control, and I'll sleep easier knowing that Goldilocks has my back. They even offer commercial security systems for any size business. Tell them Amy Jacobson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months of monitoring for free with any new install. Call Goldilocks today at 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com. That's GoldilocksInc.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
2815 Old Jacksonville, Springfield. CordellCordell.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
I'm an artist, and I'm in my studio. I listen to the radio all day, and I'm hearing the ads about Relief Factor. And I've got pain in my neck, and it's getting worse. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go ahead and order this. 2 weeks later, I've got much better range of motion. If you're experiencing pain at a certain point in life, I would get Relief Factor.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
Healthcare is complicated. It doesn't have to be. If you don't love how your health insurance works, maybe it's time to leave traditional health insurance behind. Take charge of your healthcare with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM offers you flexibility. Enroll anytime, choose your own provider, and select the program that fits your needs and budget. CHM is the original faith-based way of taking care of your medical bill costs. Learn more at chministries.org/wellness.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 20 minutes. Outbound, 30 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne interchange, 58 minutes. Outbound, 49 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office exit ramp, this is the Mannheim ramp. That is closed due to a jackknife tractor trailer in the ditch. On the outbound side, about 35 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 48 minutes. Outbound is about 37 minutes. This report is sponsored by Straight Talk Wireless. Straight Talk might not be on your shopping list, but it should be next time you're grabbing some milk off the shelf at your local Walmart. Stop by the Straight Talk aisle and switch to real unlimited data. It's quick and convenient. It won't even take up room in your cart. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check out your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Periods of rain, thunderstorm, windy day. High today 59. Rain and breezy tonight, low 52. Rain, drizzle, breezy and cool for tomorrow. The high at 55. A shower and passing on Thursday morning. Otherwise a cloudy day. The high 57. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Scott Jennings has made a name for himself in a relatively short period of time by doing intellectual battle on CNN panels. Usually it's like 3 or 4 on Scott. Sometimes he gets some aid and comfort from Shermichael Singleton, who does a pretty good job as well. To give you an example of what Scott is dealing with on a daily basis over there at CNN, not that our listeners need much education on the topic, but this was recently when after Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, announced that there was a framework to begin finalizing a trade deal between the Chinese Communist Party and America, which of course sent the markets skyrocketing and indicated that this was certainly going to be the approach of the Trump administration with the tariffs that were such a concern even to many conservatives and Republicans. Everybody on the panel said Trump linked. Scott Jennings had a different take.
Scott, you want to jump in? I see you. This whole idea that he's weak on China. Did you not read the news about what Secretary Bessent found out in these meetings, that during the Biden administration, the Chinese officials said, yeah, we knew we could ignore Biden. We could ignore whatever agreements we had because he was too weak and would never, ever stand up to us or stop us. Now they've been drugged to the table by a strong American president. And for all the talk from China, from Beijing, oh, we're going to outlast the Americans. We're fortified to outlast the Americans. A few days into this, they're in Switzerland cutting the beginnings of a deal that's going to be good for the United States, admitting some of the things that they have to admit in order to get a more balanced situation with us. This is a total win for the president, and it's a total win for the rock star Scott Bessent, who goes overseas and pulls an amazing rabbit out of a hat. But do not forget, they told him we ignored Biden because he was so weak and we could afford to do it.
That largely silenced the panel, at least momentarily, sort of stunned them.
He does it on a daily basis.
A rhetorical stinger there. Scott Jennings is a CNN contributor, as you know. New book, A Revolution of Common Sense, How Donald Trump Stormed Washington and Fought for Western Civilization. A Revolution of Common Sense is the book. Scott Jennings, the author. Scott, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and I could just sit here and listen to my highlights all morning.
Well, I know.
This is amazing.
Enough about me. What do you think of me?
Right.
Yes.
You're even better than you thought you were. So give it, you know what, just a little bit of backstory for people who may have seen your clips but can't stomach watching CNN on a regular basis. The backstory of how this show, this format, was conceived, and and what a platform it's been for you.
Yeah, last summer, our new boss, our new CEO, Mark Thompson, British guy, great guy, comes up with this idea. He says, we need a debating show. And, honestly, there really isn't a good one on TV. So we turned the Abby Phillips show between the conventions into a debating show. It was supposed to be a temporary thing. But people love it. Everywhere I go, I hear, even if I don't agree with you, I love the debates. And so on a nightly basis now, we're having these great debates. And yes, I'm often fighting 4 or 5 people at a time, but that's fair, right? 1 conservative, 4 liberals. That's fair.
That's fair.
And people are responding to it. It's our fastest growing show, one of our most highly rated shows. And I think it's also creating the most viral online content every day because of some of these great debates we're having. So we started it last year. It's going strong right now. And I'm really proud to be part of it.
It is nice to see a sort of a return of like a Capitol Gang, McLaughlin Group type of format where so you don't just have everybody in their silos. You have people that can tune in and hear the competing ideas side by side so you can really make an assessment as to who you think is making the most sense, providing the most compelling evidence.
Absolutely. It's a return, I think, to some of the great tradition of CNN. And as I said, I'm not sure there's another show like it on TV. It's unique in that most shows are 5 or 6 people sitting around agreeing with each other and congratulating each other on their increasing levels of smugness. But in this case, we're actually having a debate, and they've allowed a conservative. I'm on several nights a week. You mentioned Shermichael. We have a few other guys that come on. But we're allowing conservatives for the first time in a long time to really air out what, half or more than half or sometimes 80% of the country is thinking. And I really think it's been good for the network because, again, I just don't think the other networks are really giving the people what they want, which is debates about the issues of the day.
But what's it like when the camera's off, or say you're in the green room? How's your relationship with people on the panel?
A lot of hair
like
pulling.
Abby Phillips and others,
Well, it's fine, actually. And for the people who work for CNN, our little community, we actually get along quite well. A couple of my best friends at the network are David Axelrod and Van Jones. We spend a lot of time together, but Abby and I have a great relationship. Some of the people who come in from the outside who aren't part of CNN are a little more ornery at times, and some of the topics do get heated. But my view is you just got to you can't take it personally. A great rule of punditry is you go out, you make a good argument, you have your debate, but you can't take it personally. And I think one of the things we've lost as a country is the collective ability to disagree with each other. And so it's possible to have a passionate disagreement and then still, be civil and nice to each other after the show or before the show. And I try to model that behavior every day.
Well, you better gird your loins today because I know the arrest of LaMonica MacGyver is not going to set well with some of your fellow panelists because, Scott, we don't arrest our political opponents.
Yeah. We don't? Well, that's news to me. We debated this last night on the 10 o'clock show, and in fact, we had the mayor of Newark on, who was originally arrested, I guess, and then they dropped the charges against him. But of course, everybody on the panel was upset about the arrest of LaMonica MacGyver, except for me, who I'm just looking at the tape. I mean, it's clear she, was part of basically a mob, a riot, and she's throwing punches and elbowing these federal law enforcement officials. It's a tape. And I told one of my Democratic counterparts who was, dissembling about this, I said, well, look, have you seen the tape? It ain't no cheap fake. I can assure you of that. There's a tape, and she's clearly doing it. And, I just simply asked, if a regular person went to a federal facility and assaulted a police officer or assaulted an ICE agent, what would happen to them? They would be arrested. I mean, if it was a Republican congressman, they'd be in solitary confinement right now.
And on the revelations with respect to Biden, first the tape on Friday, and then the prostate cancer revelation, and this sort of ongoing
big lie
hand-wringing that's being done by, many at CNN, but others in terms of how they were duped despite mostly their best efforts to get to the truth. And there's a lot of circular fire around some of those panels of 5 or 6 people who generally agree with one another.
Yeah, the stuff coming out about Biden is sad. First of all, we should pray for the president. It sounds like he needs a miracle. That's number one. Number two, I'm looking at this book that Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson have coming out today, and there's a quote, there's a passage in the book, and it says something like, for the last 4 years, there was a cover-up of Joe Biden. He was in terrible shape. The country was being run by 5 people, and at best, Joe Biden was a senior member of the board. Now, think about that for a second. The cover-up and the condition of the president was so bad that 5 unelected people were running the country, and at best, the elected president was part of a board. I mean, that is chilling. It is a constitutional crisis, what we have learned about this cover-up, and what we're going to learn today as people begin to read the Tapper-Thompson book, and you throw on the cancer diagnosis. When did they know about that? It's quite obvious that this is the biggest scandal in modern American political history, the cover-up of the condition of the president. And if I have a nickel for every time I heard the word big lie after the 2020 election, I wonder what the people who have said that over and over again have to say for themselves this morning.
Well, there's some rumbling that the DOJ might file elder abuse charges against Jill Biden. I'm serious. I was reporting that in Mediaite. I'm not kidding you.
Is that Mediaite or Babylon B?
No.
You can't really tell the two apart. Sometimes.
I mean, was she one of those 5 people that was running the country?
Great question. Well, yes.
She was running him.
I mean, there's video. I mean, look what was happening at the end of the term. I mean, there's video of her running meetings. She's sitting in the middle of the cabinet meetings. Right. There's, photos of her on Air Force One sitting at the president's desk signing papers. I mean, she got what she wanted. She got power. She got covers on Vogue magazine. I mean, this Biden family, my congressman from back in Kentucky, Congressman James Comer, calls them the Biden crime family.
Yeah.
That's exactly what these
Well, she got her
were.
family pardoned.
They were gangsters.
Sorry for
100% they did.
Well, right. But part of it is you mentioned the big lie, and so that has become sort of stripped of meaning through overuse and misapplication. So is constitutional crisis, because everything that President Trump does, even if it's like center cut lawful, is a constitutional crisis. So, I mean, this is always about muddying the water so that the American people can't make heads or tails of it, or at least that's the effort.
Yeah, well, last night we were debating the Biden issues on TV last night. The Democrat counterpart said, well, I want Donald Trump to step on a scale and take a cognitive test. Like, the issue today is not Donald Trump. He's clearly fine. The issue today is the cover-up. And she said, well, he's not the president anymore. But that's the thing. They're going to want you to move on from this. They're going to want you to just forget about the cover-up and about what the Democrats put the country through for the last 4 years. And I just don't think we should let them off the hook. Again, this is a massive scandal. It's a massive scandal. And every single senior Democrat in this country participated in it, from Hakeem Jeffries to Chuck Schumer to every other person their name. They went on TV and they stuck to the lie and they stuck to the conspiracy. No, I'm not ready to move on from it.
Your book is entitled The Revolution of Common Sense, ripped from the speech the president gave to the joint session of Congress earlier this year.
Yep, and also ripped from his inaugural address. He used that phrase on the first day in office, and then he used it to Congress. And then on the 100th day, when he had his rally in Michigan, he used it there. And that branding of the party has really struck me and stuck with me. I pitched the president on the idea for this book in early February, and he agreed to cooperate. So I've been able to interview him and a lot of people in his cabinet and his senior officials in the White House. I spent some time around the complex and around the president. And it's just a book about, I think, the new branding of the party and some of the 80-20 big-ticket issues on which Donald Trump comes in, takes the overwhelmingly popular position, and drives his political opposition crazy. So I'm grateful to the president for the participation. You can pre-order it on Amazon right now, Revolution of Common Sense, and you'll get it before Christmas. It'll make a great Christmas gift for anybody you know.
Well, what other gift people in Kentucky, they want you to run for Senate?
Yeah,
Any announcements you'd like to make?
Yeah, I was telling some political consultants the other day, if you were going to announce a Senate run in Kentucky, you should do it on the radio in Chicago. Isn't that
Perfect. Yes.
With us. I love you. I watch you every
Well,
day.
Lincoln was moved from there to here, and so, we do have a nexus.
Yeah.
By the way, well, just on Kentucky for a second, but I did have one more question about the book. On Kentucky for a second, Bashir, your governor there, is being touted as maybe sort of a moderate alternative to the zeitgeist in the party, thinking about POTUS 28. Do you think, whether it's Bashir or somebody who also tries to occupy that market positioning, do you think a candidate like that has any chance in that party at this time?
It makes me laugh when I hear people describe him as a moderate alternative. There is nobody who is more committed to the transgender ideology, the boys and girls sports ideology, the absolute cultural rot of America than Andy Bashir. Now, the reason that it never happens in Kentucky is because our governor, the way it works, has no power. The legislature has all the power, and they have stopped him repeatedly from being one of the biggest left-wing cultural ideologues that you could possibly imagine. Now, the way he speaks in moderate tones and tries to present himself as some sort of transcendental religious figure hides the true Andy Bashir. I've known this guy since I was 16 years old. This is maybe the most liberal candidate you could possibly imagine. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing. He wants you to think he's a moderate. But the left-wing cultural rot he is all on board for, and I assume it'll come out during the course of the campaign. I don't think he has a great chance to get elected president. But he certainly thinks he does. I mean, he'll tell you how smart he is. Just ask him. I mean, that's the Andy Bashir story.
Now, on your book, A Revolution of Common Sense, did you have, you mentioned you had time to sit down with the president, which was good, and people around him. Did that include any quality time with Big Balls to really get the backstory, more of the backstory with Big Balls, by any chance?
I did not meet him. I did meet his boss, Elon Musk.
I've heard of him.
We had some, we had some conversations, and I found that to be fascinating. I asked Elon Musk, are you confident or optimistic about the future of Western civilization? And he said no. And so you can read the book to find out about why. But, he has some real concerns about the future of the country, our immigration policy, our fiscal policy, the challenge to Western civilization around the world. Elon was a fascinating conversation. So was Marco Rubio, another fascinating conversation, Doug Burgum, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. So there's a lot of fascinating conversations in here kind of wrapped into some of these observations I made about the issues of the first 100 days along the way.
The book, A Revolution of Common Sense, How Donald Trump Stormed Washington and Fought for Western Civilization. You can pre-order it at Amazon, as you heard CNN contributor and author of the book, Scott Jennings, say. Scott, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with the book.
Hey, love you guys. Thanks for the time this morning, and talk to you soon.
Thanks. Hopefully we'll have you back soon. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Business owners, now's the time for your business to make the move to a locally owned business bank. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that you don't have to look far. Signature Bank was founded in Chicago with a simple mission to help companies like yours grow, succeed, and thrive. Their decisions are made locally by a terrific team that knows your name, cares about your business, and invests in your success. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. I'm a customer. As business owners, they knew that local family-owned businesses were not getting the help they needed or deserved. So I invite you to reach out to my friends at Signature Bank today. Write the number down. Remember this phone number, Signature Bank, 773-467-5630, and learn all about this great bank, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
8 years. It has been 8 years since QC Kinetics has been the nation's leader in non-surgical relief for joint pain. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and this is remarkable. Using regenerative cell therapy to restore tissue in your achy joints. These are biologic growth factors with robust healing properties, carefully and strategically placed in your joint. Listen, it's a powerful and potent way to give your joints the new life and repairing old tissue. Best part, there's no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. This is an all-natural option with lasting relief. Imagine doing all the things you enjoyed this summer without joint pain. Here's what I want you to do. Contact my good friends at QC Kinetics and ask for your free consultation. You have nothing to lose. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
AM 560. The Answer.
Did you hear what happened at O'Hare the other day?
Someone ordered Uber Eats or something?
Well, not someone. Here's how it went down. We have that? Oh yeah, right here.
7244. 44. All right, 44. I got a call from United. They said at Charlie 16 they have a vehicle stop. The vehicle was a DoorDash delivery vehicle who somehow got on the airfield, and no one knows when or how that happened.
Well, look, I'll come clean. I wanted a Johnny's beef. It was going to take 20 minutes to deplane. I just got back into town, and I was trying to reacclimate. So I'm sorry. Good grief.
Oh, my God. All right. Thanks so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Thanks to Quinn McCarthy, and to Paul. We'll be back here bright and early tomorrow morning. It's now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
He's trying to close a deal at the Capitol. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
The one big, beautiful bill, I think it's going to be, it's the biggest bill ever passed, and we got to get it done.
President Trump a short time ago, before meeting privately with House Republicans, trying to unite them all on that bill to fund his agenda from border security to extending the 2017 tax cuts.
Tremendous tax cuts for people, tremendous incentives, tremendous regulation cuts.
Now, Democrats warn Republicans plan deep cuts in Medicaid that'll take away health coverage from some Americans in need, but the president insists.
We don't want any waste, fraud, or abuse. Very simple. Waste, fraud, abuse. Other than that, we're leaving it. Medicare, we're leaving it.
Now, we've just learned President Trump will make an announcement at 3 p.m. Eastern with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Reuters reports it might be related to the proposed Golden Dome missile defense system. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is at the Senate now for a budget hearing. He plans to tout the administration's efforts to stop illegal immigration and deport gang members and others who are threats. At a House hearing later, Republicans plan to focus on Democrats' efforts to resist immigration and customs enforcement the day after a Democratic Congresswoman, LaMonica McIver, was criminally charged over a confrontation with federal ICE agents at a detention center in New Jersey. Borders are Tom Holman tells Fox.
You can protest, but you cannot cross that line. You can't knowingly impede a law enforcement officer, ICE officer. It's a crime.
Now, Congresswoman McIver claims ICE agents escalated it, and the charges are purely political. It's day 5 of the manhunt for 6 escaped prisoners still on the run in Louisiana. The morning after a 4th was captured after they all broke out through a hole they dug near a jailhouse toilet.
These are dangerous guys on the loose.
Fox's Nate Foy outside the New Orleans jail says among the 6 is
Derek Groves. He's already convicted of multiple murders. 3 others are charged with second-degree murder and other crimes. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry blames the escape on liberal policies.
America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Windy and cool this afternoon with periods of rain and a thunderstorm, high up to 57. Overcast and breezy tonight with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm this evening, followed by occasional rain and drizzle late, low 52. I'm Ruth O'Brien on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Hugh Hewitt always has the biggest guests.
I've seen you talk about Trump derangement syndrome and do so with humor, but it's getting worse. What is it about you that deranges them so much?
Well, I win. You know, they were losing for so long. They're losers, but I win. And when I win, it drives people crazy, and I win a lot.
The Hugh Hewitt Show, afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Michaela's Mobile Spa, Michaela! Michaela got a quick business insurance quote from Progressive and chose from over 30 customizable coverages. Sure, it helps she's her only employee and does literally everything. But while others would rest on their laurels, Michaela was hard at work saving big. So take that, hypothetical other employee who doesn't exist. Be your own Michaela. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Spring is here. It's time to get outside and enjoy the beautiful weather in a brand new scooter from Mars Medical in New Lenox. Come see and test drive their full collection of new and used power mobility devices for sale. Mars Medical carries full and travel size scooters from Pride Mobility and Golden Technologies. Inventory is moving out daily, so don't hesitate to pick out your new scooter today. And don't forget, Mars Medical also has lightweight and compact transport wheelchairs available for sale or rental use for those day trips to the zoo or to the park. Some units weigh as little as 19 pounds. Or improve your outdoor activities this spring with a rollator walker. Mars Medical has over 7 models of rollator walkers on the floor for purchase. Make this spring one to remember on the north side of Route 30 between Cedar and Vine Road in New Lenox. Or go to marsmedicalsupply.com. Mars Medical, customer care that is out of this world.
This is a special alert during this window replacement season. Don't get tricked by the cheapest offers and gimmicky ads.